Strike right away?
No, we're not going for the copyright strike right away, Jason.
Dang,
I
sorry, chat.
decided to delay the starting of my voice for like a couple seconds.
You gotta give just a minute, make sure.
Yeah.
So we're watching our language for at least 30 seconds.
We got 30 more seconds, chat. Also, hello V. How's it going?
Hey V. Oh my goodness. Honestly, I'm very glad to be back. It has been a minute.
Same. See, I'm not in the eternal struggle of work right now, which is big.
Huge, in fact.
One could say huge. Alright, we're here. It's Zur Scale time. Everybody knows it. Everybody loves it. At least I love it.
Yeah. Oh, I guess. If anyone's not familiar, it's a tier list. We rate it on 0 to 10. Because... And we do have to bring in zeros, because there might be one or two of them in this set. Mm-hmm. We'll get to them.
Probably two. We'll get to them. Mm-hmm. Pretty quickly, actually.
Hello, Bravo. You can be the speed. You can be the speed demon. We'll talk about them in a minute. Mm-hmm. So, just go through monocolor as usual, and then spicy stuff towards the end.
Oh yeah, I'm getting our good, bad commanders pulled up.
Yeah, there's chat, you may not know this, but there's like 15 or like 12 or 15 commanders in this set that are just monocolored, and even for monocolored commanders, they're not very good. So,
there's like one that's pretty okay.
I mean, there's a couple that are at least, at minimum, guaranteed funny. Like, will in fact say, if you show up with one of these, I will laugh, I will have a good time. I can't say your deck's good, but I will have a good time.
Now, Jason, are you going to say that you're going to laugh at Savannah Lions, that's a legendary creature?
Yes.
That genuinely also makes cats? Isn't it great? I love it.
Okay, let's start off with Basri, tomorrow's champion. 1 white mana for a 2/1 legendary creature, human knight. 1 tap, exert Basri to make a 1/1 cat token with lifelink. Exerting means when you tap it, it won't untap during the next untap step.
Mm-hmm.
And it has cycling for 2 and a white. And whenever you cycle this card, cats you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn.
Sure, that doesn't matter.
I legitimately don't know if I have seen another legendary creature more designed for the 99. Like, Basri is firmly a 99 card. Like, it's just a 99 card, right? It's
strictly is.
Like,
there's no denying.
I'm not joking when I say this. Okay, Basri being human and knight really does matter. However, Isamaru being a 2/2 legit has some benefits over being a 2/1 here.
Yep.
So, it is debatable, is the vanilla 2/2 better than the 1 mana 2/1 with a tap ability that you almost never want to use, and is
I'd
probably
much rather
taking you in the
have
direction
the
of
2/2
cats.
because it doesn't immediately die to Bowman.
Yeah. Perhaps the hot take or the creative way to break this card is, obviously this thing wants to put you towards a cats or tokens deck. To benefit from it being a 1 mana commander, though, it may actually be correct to go down the equipment route.
Yes, it is.
Purely because cats also do equipment. So, there's your cross synergy to actually make Basri matter.
I don't know, man. That one from MH3 doesn't do equipment. It's pretty good. You might have heard of it. It's a really funny cat.
It brings friends.
It does bring. It brings a lot of friends. Oh wait, he makes lifelink tokens, Jason.
Hey, what do you know? That works out pretty well. Anyway, so I just jumped over to the EDA Frick page really quick. It is just cats.
Yeah,
it's cats. Not really.
I'm not even gonna pull it up. I already know how Magic players work.
I will also point out there's only 18 decks.
Yeah,
so
Like I said, I know how Magic players work.
Yeah, they saw cats and said it's cats. So
what do we have Isamaru at?
I believe Isamaru was a 2. Let me
Well-
double check that. Oh no, Isamaru is a 3 and can be adjusted back down to a 2.
All right, I would like to put this at a 2.
I believe that is acceptable.
It is just
That's-
bad. I'm sorry, chat. The cats are kind of cooked.
I will at least give it the credit that it has more support than Isamaru does, because Isamaru is pretty much stuck on you either do dogs, which is
No, don't.
or you do equipment, which is fine. Basri can do that as well to almost the same effect. Plus Basri's human, which does legitimately matter.
Matters. You could get more indestructible instances just randomly, but all right. I heard you like more vanilla creatures, and you're set with vehicles and engines. Yeah, vanilla. Let's go. We have Sundial, Dawn Tyrant. It's 1 and a white for a 3/3.
I legitimately want to know what in the world people are gonna do with this one. Because like
It has to. It's just.
it's artifacts, right? Like,
It's
that's the only
artifacts.
great thing out of this.
It's equipment because it's like not a bad statted body.
No, it's not. A 2-mana 3/3 is a solid stat line. It is, about as good as Isamaru is, but
Yeah. I don't even think there's a deck on EDH for this. Maybe one.
Let's see. Oh, there's 25 of them. People are trying. Okay, so most people are, about half the people are doing artifact creature beats, which, sure, makes sense. You're playing your tempered steel deck.
That's like, it could be worse.
I mean, it could certainly be worse. Unfortunately, it doesn't really give you much direction.
Nope.
Oh, are some people like straight up just doing specifically constructs?
Yep. Yeah, they are.
Okay. Now that's a handicap. You have not only handicapped yourself to playing artifact creatures, but you handicap yourself to specifically constructs. Oof, that's tough.
Never change, Magic. Never change.
I don't know if this is better than Basri. I feel like it's on par. It can maybe be a 2.
I feel like it's the exact same power level.
Yeah, it's being an artifact is a legitimate strength. Like, it does matter. It's just it's not that much of a strength.
It's just not good.
Yeah, it's just not great. Wish it was better.
All right.
Blue time.
From vanilla to more vanilla. Caelorna Coral Tyrant. Yeah, I can pronounce things, guys. It is an 08 legendary creature octopus. At least it has an 8 for being an octopus. I will give it that.
That 0/8's the rating. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a 0. It's just straight a 0. This card is bad.
It's got good play text.
It does. I agree.
It's okay. Okay, so this is one of those situations where legitimately, what is the benefit of having that big of an ass that early? I have to at least ask if there's anything, because we are legitimately working with how do we save this from 0?
I don't see a way in a world where this isn't just the worst possible card in the set.
We actually do want to show the EDH rec for this one, because this is going to be hard to explain anything.
Got 14 decks.
It seems like, yeah, and there's not a whole lot of options, right? Some people are just some, or at least some number of brave souls out here are just like, this is high tide something. I don't know if it's high tide combo, but it's high tide something.
Just protect yourself with the world's largest 2-mana ass.
Exactly. Some amount of this seems to care about, like, just sea creatures.
Sure, octopus checks out.
Yeah. The Geralt Visionary Stitcher is actually kind of interesting, because 3 mana and then pay 1 mana tap, sacrifice another non-token creature to make an XX blue zombie creature token, where X is the sacrifice creature's power, sacrifice creature's toughness. So you do get an 8/8, and that's kind of nice, but that's 1 card.
Why wouldn't I play that as my commander instead?
Great question. Stop asking those.
That's pretty much going to be my question to everything Jason's going to ask or say here.
A lot of this seems to be also down the route of like, okay, I have this I'm playing on challenge mode. Can I make this kill somebody? Right? Can I make an 8 toughness creature with no power kill something? And unlike Tyrox, that can just eventually beat somebody in the face, I don't see any synergies.
Not mono blue, we kind of need green and white to do damage with toughness.
Hell, leave just white. That would get us, was it High Alert? I think it's the name of the card?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that gets us there, but yeah, this is missing the colors and support and the everything. Cool art though.
That's great art. I will give it that. It is great art.
Yeah, and like Tyrox, we gave a 1.
Mm-hmm.
This Tyrox at least again can kill people. I believe this is just firmly a 0.
Yeah, no, it's just a 0. There is nothing that can save it. Sorry, chat.
We didn't really try though.
No, we didn't. I don't think we can try either.
Poor thing. So weird. Oh, my things go. I forgot to update the dates on all of these things, so now I have to hunt them down again.
Uh-oh.
Oh, well. There we go. It's updated.
Alright, Mr. Lived in China for a couple months. Your time to shine.
Okay, just move. I'm not going to do that. Alright, so Mu Yanling Windrider. 2 blue for a 2/4 legendary creature, human wizard pilot. With when this creature enters the battlefield create a 3/2 colorless vehicle artifact token with crew 1. Vehicles you control have flying. And whenever one or more creatures you control with flying deal combat damage to a player, draw a card.
I mean, I like the last bit of text there. That's pretty solid.
And it gets kind of close to being mono blue Edric.
Like,
not nearly as good as Edric.
It's so close to being a 5, unironically.
See, honestly, I wasn't even sure if I'd go that much, but the more I think about this, okay, how good is that last ability? Because realistically, okay, Internet, I know what you're going to do. You saw a card that says vehicle on it, and you decided to put 30 of them in your deck.
Woot woot.
Would you looky there?
Oh yeah, it's all coming together, Jason. Oh wait, no, we got Thopter synergy though.
That's true, and that's actually really nice. You feel like you prefer Donald? True. I think Donald is just generally better if you're going to do a mono flying deck, or at least probably better, because it just copies the things, and that's better threats. Blue has plenty of ways of drawing cards, but it's never bad to have your card draw in your command zone.
Yeah, like, this is... It's so close.
It's inoffensive. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's... maybe kind of rude to put it that way, but like, I feel like that's the nicest thing I can say. It's just inoffensive. I don't think the vehicle synergies are where you want to go.
Nope.
Just kind of ever. But
you just want to have flyers of all varieties.
Yeah. Just all sorts of things that care about flying and attacking. Like, there's a distinct lack of 1-mana 1/1 flyers in this deck, or at least that I'm seeing on EDH Rec here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've only seen like 3 of them so far. When, again, you can just play this as mono blue Edric and have like,
I'd just be playing all the 1-drop, 2-drop birds.
Yeah, like 1 and 2 mana flyers. You play like, what, 4 of them? Or
Yep.
not 4 of them, like 14 or something like that, right? Enough to keep it going. The other thing that stinks about this is whenever 1 or more deals combat to a player. So you're capping at 3 extra cards a turn.
Still isn't bad.
No,
Still solid.
unless you have double strike.
Yeah.
Which, that's hard to do in blue, but, something to think about.
Not
Equipment helps.
impossible.
Yeah. Supplementing the flyers with a few vehicles is probably correct. Like, there are just a few that are good.
Yeah, like Hull Drifter. The greatest card ever.
God, I don't care for that one. I really don't care for Hull Drifter.
Unironically, Thopter Fabricator's kind of goated, though.
Thopter Fabricator is an example of a really good one for this deck.
Lifecraft Engine is also quite solid.
Yeah. The Indomitable is just exactly what you want to be doing. And that's just good. It's not too hard to get too many pirates in the deck or other vehicles to help get the Indomitable back, so you can just keep going.
Yep.
Not sure about the Dragster.
I'm here for the Imposter Mech. Always. I'm always here for the Imposter Mech.
Yeah, it's just a fine card overall. I also think Unlicensed Hearse is a little bit underplayed in Commander. Not like terribly underplayed, but Grave Hate in general is good. Yeah, I think just due to the cards that you're playing, it still falls under average for me.
I was saying it's so close.
4 is good. It's 4, maybe borderline 5. I would rather play it safe though with this one because it's just like we are saying, hey, play your blue deck with a bunch of 1/1s and vehicles. That's what you want to be doing, and that feels just kind of a little weak to begin with.
Oh, Kelvin, I just saw your message. Oh no, I'm praying for your wallet. Our good patron Kelvin has decided to learn how to play 40k.
I'm sorry, friend. We'll have a great time, but I'm sorry.
You're doomed and about to have boxes of unpainted minis. God, if I'm not there already. Send help.
I'm the weirdo. I will have I at least assemble everything. I don't have just a backlog of shame.
Well, I've
just
got
not even
shelves.
assembled.
I've got like 1 box that's not assembled for an army I'm thinking about, but everything else is built at least. It just needs to be painted. Anyways, back to the main, keeping the main thing the main thing. Here's our good Aetherborn rogue Gonti.
We have 1 more blue.
We have 1 more blue? Did I skip one?
Nope. It's a V.
Ah, no wonder.
Wait. Sorry to tease you with the Gonti, but we do have another blue card to talk about first.
I wanted to talk about. I do have it on here. Oh my goodness. Yep. I'm just. I just can't read.
It's all good. So this is Vnwxt. I'm gonna assume that's a good pronunciation.
Good
I know
enough
at least
for me.
Vin is correct. Verbose host. 1 and a blue for a 0/4 legendary creature homunculus with Starcher Engines. You have no maximum hand size, and at max speed, if you would draw a card, you draw 2 cards instead. For those unfamiliar with Starcher Engines, if you have no speed, once you have something that says Starcher Engines, you go to 1 speed, and once per turn on your turn, if an opponent loses life, you will increase your speed, and the max speed is 4. So, punch your opponent, get an extra speed. Cool.
Neat. We're playing blue, Jason. How do we punch?
With 1/1 flyers. So I will give this a little bit of credit. There's a couple of things you can do here to do your whole pinging thing. where you can kind of like
Got Tim.
Yeah, you can play Tem. You can do some like tap untap stuff. Glaring Fleshraker is actually a real card in the deck. So if you wanted to go heavy on the artifact synergies of cast an artifact spell, draw a card. Oh, actually, it's draw 2 because of Vin, whatever his name is, or their name is. Yeah.
So, chat, just so everybody knows, it is 2.5 turns to turn on max speed.
Yeah.
Of your turns, not opponent's turns. Your turns.
Now, fortunately, we're in blue, so like
it's fine.
It's all the colors are pretty good at actually triggering this, surprisingly. There's plenty of decent ways of doing it. There's some colors that are more likely to kill you before you reach max speed. Looking at you, green. Like green's just gonna go over top of it and doesn't have much need for max speed, but something like all the other colors are actually pretty decent at it, and blue's surprisingly okay at it with the number of unblockable things that it has. It is just a card draw matters deck, and there's quite a few of them.
Yep.
It's one that has to wait until you cast your commander on turn 2, you hit max. Let's assume that it works out fine. You hit max speed on what, turn 4?
4. And typically it's going to be 5, but we'll say 4 in Magical Christmas Land.
Yeah. And then from there, you have to keep drawing cards to benefit from your commander. Which, God forbid, you draw cards in your mono blue deck, right?
Oh no! Anyways.
It's distinctly fine.
I'd say it's like slightly below average, and that's just because it can be potentially 5 or 6 before your commander actually comes online.
Yeah. My view on this is it's another one of those commanders where the win condition isn't made very clear. You're playing a big card draw deck, which is great at hitting land drops, but it's weird how you want to work with ramp in this type of deck, particularly because you want to be hitting your opponents to get damage so that you can keep your speed up to get to your triggers as quickly as possible, and skipping a turn on this really sucks. So
yeah, friendly reminder, this is like one of the few decks where you're not just immediately playing Soul Ring if you have a 1-drop unblockable creature. You're playing that before Soul Ring.
Yeah, and it's not too big of a difference because you just go turn 2, play your land, play Soul Ring, play your commander, and then get to 2 speed. Which is decent. It's not that bad. It's just that a reminder, if you do not have max speed, your commander does nothing.
It's just an 0-4. Oh no, it says you have no max hand size.
Yes, it does nothing. I mean,
you're not wrong.
Oh no, not the gold.
The piss color border, let's go.
You got spaghetti. Welcome back, Wolfspade. Yeah, I think it's just the floor is really bad.
The floor is bad enough to drag it down from being an average deck. Because if we were just going off a normal, like, this is a draw cards matter deck, it's probably a 5. But the floor on this thing, where it can't even get to that point, has to drag it down some. Yes,
and I will say 2-mana commanders always have this big benefit of what they can enable early game in terms of mana acceleration. But again, this is a commander that doesn't particularly want to be doing that necessarily. It wants to be dealing that damage so then it can turn online to start doing its actual win condition of whatever the hell you're doing to win the game. It's a bit too nebulous for me to give it a clear rating.
And also, even if you have like really high power starts, you get a speed on turn 1, but you can't actually do anything with it. So either way, it'd still be turn 2 before you get up to 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's odd. I'm just hopeful we don't have too many people trying to turn this one into the Voltron commander. we can leave that to the octopus.
Yeah, I'm here for the octopus attempting to be Voltron.
All right.
So anyways, let's get the proper art here. There we go.
That's nice art.
We have Gonti, Knight Minister, 2 black, 4/8, 3/4 legendary creature, Aetherborn Rogue. Whenever a player casts a spell they don't own, that player creates a treasure token. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller looks at the top card of that opponent's library and exiles it face down. They may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Mana of any type can be spent to cast a spell this way. On the list of cards we will never see on Smooth Brain EDH channel.
Yeah, it's pretty high up there. We might have to do something silly because we just got Rev and we got Gonti, so like it would have to be an in-person game though.
It has to be an in-person game, and you have to get 4 players that want to play this style of deck.
Yes.
Like I said, on the list of cards that we'll never see.
I just thought of the stupidest idea for a joke video where it's like you just play decks where you steal each other's cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everyone just has black sleeves.
Oh God!
So you just got to play with whatever you get from each game. Play like 3 games in a row or something.
Yes, Kelvin, you do have a deck that benefits from that. Anyways,
don't you have like 2 decks that benefit from this?
No.
Because you have rogues.
Oh yeah, rogues and the good Gonti.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in terms of actual power level, okay. So obviously this is incentivizing your opponents to attack each other and make treasures and do stuff, and you also benefit from it. It's I'll be real with you, Chief. I don't think it's good, like at all.
No, I don't think it's good. Unlike, this wonderful card called Rev.
Yeah.
And Sultai Gonti. I don't like giving the things that are stolen to my opponents instead of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is the thing, right? It benefits from how wide you go, right? Because it's whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents. So each creature does this. You can go deep and go crazy.
We make rats. Oh my goodness, Jason! We make it to rats to steal the cards. Big brain.
Sure. Like, this is basically a chaos pilled version of what's his name? That old praetor, Gix.
Oh yeah, Gix.
Yeah, it's like literally 1-for-1 swap your commander to Gix, and you have like the same deck, right? You can swap it to Rev, and you have like the same deck. But the difference between those two is you're not giving it to your opponent, and your opponents can potentially take way better advantage of this.
The one point this gains over Rev is it can play lands. It also benefits over both by not being 1 per opponent. Sure. Mm-hmm. Anyways.
Yeah. And of course, it does have that advantage. It's just unfortunate that it doesn't... It's weird to me, especially given that flavor-wise this is Gonti. The deal doesn't favor you.
No.
At least not truly. It's got the Brina level of deal, where it's like, so long as your opponent does it to another opponent, they get the benefit. You always get the benefit. They sometimes get the benefit. Right?
Yeah, but it's not both me and them getting the benefit. Mm-hmm. I like it on that.
Yeah.
When we both get a benefit at the same time, and then I also get the benefit nobody else does.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
So... With 3 opponents all getting to take advantage of this, and also a good number of them wanting to kill your commander because you're causing havoc. Are we breaking out of 0? Because this feels like we're approaching 0 territory. like as a commander, if you have any sort of intention to win, right?
And if you want to win, I just don't think you can do it.
Like
your commander's is like a lightning bolt for removal. You're incentivized to play these really bad cards that have like fear and shadow because you have to deal damage. Yeah.
And again, unlike Gix, who's 3 mana and puts the cards directly into your hand, you know, you're feeding your opponents. It's hard to break the difference, again, compared to Edric as well, right? And the hilarious part about this is every single commander I have brought up as a comparison to this is like a really good commander.
This is how you don't do it, though.
Right. There's no real way for you to sweeten the pot in your favor. And it's just, like, I can't really figure out how you would break this.
I don't know. We just continue on the tradition of Aetherdrift being really good 99 cards, and Commanders, not so much.
I'll give you that. In the right deck, this is definitely a good 99 card. Like, if you were a deck that wanted to play Rev in the 99, you could argue, you could make a justification for Gonti being there aside from just, it's funny.
Wait, Jason, that means it goes in every black deck, because we've already proven Rev goes in basically every black deck.
Sure, doesn't mean it's a good commander.
Yeah, it does not as your commander.
These are not mutually exclusive statements. Do I give it the goose egg?
No.
Does it get the 1?
It gets a 1.
Okay.
It gets a 1. It at least does something, unlike our vanilla creatures.
The only note I put on it is chaos with 3 exclamation points.
I'm here to kill chaos.
Get to like copy all the other things from like Rev and and Gigs.
Same exact deck. Anyways,
it really is.
We have the new best meme. It's slightly improved Yargle, but also not Yargle. It's equally as amazing, in my opinion. We have Kalakscion, Hunger Tyrant. 1 black for a 7/2.
It's a legendary creature crocodile as well.
It is. Is this our first legendary legendary croc?
I believe it is, actually. Yeah.
So anyways, what did we give Yargle?
I don't know. Okay.
9 in our hearts, I know that much, but...
Okay, so Yargle got a 1.
Okay.
And I still think that's a correct rating for Yargle.
Yep.
I hate that I'm going to... But hear me out!
Oh.
3 mana and 7 power is actually a really, really relevant stat line. Because 7 power is 3 hits to kill an opponent.
Yep.
So, this is surprisingly not the worst if you can give it evasion. You kill your opponent at the exact same rate that Yargle does. For 3 mana, not 5.
Yep.
And I can cast this off Dark Ritual.
Yep. And Jason, it has 2 toughness. You know what that doesn't immediately die to?
A bowman?
Like, one of the most problematic cards in EDH right now? Doesn't just immediately die to it?
Once again, 99 ins for Saddle Frog? Yes.
Yeah. Unironically, this card's great.
For that one. It's silly that I don't hate this like as terrible as can be sort of thing. I will make the firm argument for 2.
Oh no, 100%. It is better than Yargle, but that's not saying much. 100% bad.
It tries so hard.
Ain't got so far.
It's just missing all like the support to make it good.
Hush, Kelvin. This is the true crocodile. None of your changeling chicaneries over there, okay?
Yeah. All right. Good mono black card.
Yes. I think. I'll let you explain it while I get the next set pulled up.
So, this is the Speed Demon. 3 black for a 5/5 legendary creature demon. With flying, trample, starter engines. I'm not explaining what that does again. And at the beginning of your end step, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is your speed. So at your end step, draw between 1 and 4 cards. We don't care about the life loss. We're playing mono black. Okay.
We are here to skate fast and eat ass.
Yes.
In that order.
And okay. Speed Demon is good, not great. And it's so much better than Blood Gift Demon. Correct. It's better on like every metric. Has trample, draws more cards, has 1 extra point of toughness. Only downside is legendary, and you might have to look at that artwork.
Oh god, it's even worse.
You got the gold frame on it as well.
No.
All right. But so 5/5 flying or 5/5 flammable stat line is like fine. Right?
Yep.
It's solid. Importantly, it's pretty good at increasing your speed.
It will always at least draw you 1 card every instep.
Yes. Additionally, some of the mono black cards are actually quite good at getting, or at least starting your engine before turn 5.
Yep.
And there is also a fair amount of ramp in mono black that can power this out early with some rituals, right? The downside is this is a commander that sits in play, and obviously it's drawing cards. Like, it's very clearly doing something good.
It becomes a lightning bolt.
It is a lightning rod for removal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have gotten to play against this, and Rabo, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, assuming you're still listening. But I think Rabo cast Speed Demon 4 times in 2 games, and I let it draw 6 cards in total across all of its casts. And one of them was a draw 4. So it literally just came down 8 removal. Okay, now we wait. And otherwise, you're just kind of like playing, kind of just average mono black
good stuffs.
Yeah, but you put your card draw in the command zone, so you don't have as much of it in the deck.
Yeah, I think it has to. It could exactly sits at a 5.
Yeah, 5/5. It feels like a very average commander, surprisingly. It is one, if you let it sit around, it will just win the game eventually, which does make it a threat and perhaps is an argument for above average. But it really is just a lightning rod for removal. The only good thing about Starter Engines is it applies similarly to Day Night and where it activates without the commander or the cards on the field. Yes, true. You do have to keep track of it, and you track the progression, and it's done from there.
It's just the ring.
Yeah, the more easy comparison is the ring, but the ring you do have to care about who is your ring bearer, and that is always like this point of, who's the ring bearer who has these abilities and so, etc. Bravo says I was a lot of fun to play.
Sure. Understood.
Yes, it was fun to watch and play with, though.
I will say this: speed, specifically in this context, speed is very pod dependent, turn order dependent, and composition dependent. So we have to rate it at a 5. It could actually be better depending on meta. It could be like a 7 in certain metas. We don't know. It's too hard to rate. So therefore, 5.
Yeah, and we also didn't bring this up. Even if you do your Speed Demon thing, it may actually just kill you.
Yep.
That does happen occasionally. I feel like it'd be very rare, like 1 in 20 games sort of thing, where you will get killed by your own commander. But otherwise, like, it's good. It's got some decent card draw synergies. It's got some stuff you can do. Like, it's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. All right. Wheelchair time.
Oh, Daretti.
Oh, Daretti.
All right. Daretti, Rocketeer Engineer. 4 and a red for a star 5 legendary creature, Goblin Artificer. Daretti's power is equal to the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. Whenever Daretti enters or attacks, choose target artifact in your graveyard. You may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, return the chosen card to the battlefield. It's a 5 mana welder.
Seems solid to me.
Yeah. We have a 5 mana Kran that does, kind of similar. It does a lot of mana, which is like the thing that colorless decks really want to do.
But like a welder in my command zone is so much better than most of those things.
Yeah, genuinely. 5 mana is a little bit awkward, but like even just 5 mana trash for treasure plus a body left behind that's threatening to do stuff is pretty good. It probably leans towards the removal lightning rod side of things, but I don't think nearly as bad as Speed Demon.
I don't know that it does. Because like, it's when it enters too. That you're weldering something, so you're actively incentivized to just pacify it more than anything, which doesn't see play in EDH. So
yeah, preventing it from attacking is not really best option. To be fair, blocking it is not unreasonable.
Yeah.
But getting enough resources that you would want to be able to block with it consistently. I don't know if you're doing a lot of the like. So I feel like this leans a little more into the reanimator side of trash for treasure stuff as opposed to the let me do the eggs moving around stuff, which you can do the egg stuff anyway. It is just perfectly reasonable.
It's still good. Still drawing a card whenever your egg dies is still good.
Yeah. Let's actually take a look at the EDH rec page for this one, because I am curious where some people are going with it. I see some like Start Your Engine stuff, which I don't really agree with. There's Portal to Phyrexia, that's what I was expecting to see.
Yep.
Cluster Gear Hole, Triplicate Titan, yeah, the big stuff. A lot of looting.
Meteor Golems, Worm Coil Engines, the usual suspects.
Love me a good Cityscape Leveler.
Platinum Empyrean. Yeah, this looks like generic mono red Daretti.
Yeah, it's just big artifacts. Similar to the 4 mana Daretti. 4 mana Daretti gets attacked. This doesn't.
Dies slightly easier, but also it's another welder, which...
Yeah, I guess relevant question is obviously 4 mana Daretti, now that I've brought this up, hey, there's that Magus of the Moon. I was about to say, is well known for being a stacks deck as well. I don't know if people are doing stacks stuff with this as much.
I don't know that you can.
I think you can. I just don't think it's necessarily worth it.
Because, like, a lot of the more powerful stacks pieces don't let you untap your Daretti. So, like...
I mean, I don't know if you care.
I mean, I'd like to welder things more than once.
I mean...
Or more than
sure.
twice.
I'm thinking a little bit more about, like, the Winter Moon, like Mana Disruption, primarily.
Yeah, Mana Disruption, sure.
The Mana Disruption side of things, the things that just tell your opponents to slow down so that you can start doing your stuff, which gives us range. I don't know if that makes it better, it just makes it have more range.
We can actually play the Immortal Sun in our Daretti deck, and it's not awful.
That's fun. Buck Bubik, yeah, 5 mana is a lot, but also red and rituals do go hand in hand, and this feels like the kind of card that's kind of sitting there and saying, like, hey, I'm just going to put my commander into play, and I'm going to put this big dumb thing into play. I'm going to try to ride that to victory.
Yeah. And then Wolfsbane follows it off. You're also an artifact deck.
Yeah.
You have ramp.
Yeah, I think, especially because, like, you're going to play every 2 mana ramp piece you can get your hands on, because that's sack fodder right?
Yep.
That's just something you'll sacrifice. You play, was it not Trash for Treasures? What's the, like, Big Score, for example, right? Like, Big Score is a good card in this deck, where you actively want to be discarding your things, and you get treasures as a result of this. Coveted Jewel is hilarious.
You get to play my goat, Coveted Jewel.
I'm actually curious now. Let me double check that. It says you control, right?
For Daretti?
Exactly in your graveyard. You may sacrifice an artifact. You do Daretti. Okay, so that's going to require you to control it.
Dang.
I
Anyways.
wanted to make sure it didn't say you own, because then you would have that weird thing of being able to give it to your opponent but be able to sacrifice it still, which would be funny with Coveted Jewel. But I mean, this is good. It's definitely at least a 6 for me.
Oh, easily.
How do you compare? Yeah, Daretti we had as a 6-9 split, which I still think is a fair rating for Daretti.
And I don't think that this... I think it's just slightly different than the Planeswalker.
Yeah. Do we think it gets the same highs as the other Daretti?
No.
I don't think it
No.
does. I do think it has better... Like, I think it has the potential to be an 8 when optimized. Potentially.
I think it, honest to goodness, has about the same floor, though. So... There's only so bad these, like, Trash for Treasure decks can get.
Yeah. Yeah, the floor is definitely the same. Yeah, I think I'd like a 6-8 split. That sound good to you?
Yep.
I think it's got a high tier. What's the S tier commanders? Well, depends on your definition of S tier, right? Because, like, it's in terms of fun or power. We haven't hit those for this set necessarily, and I don't know if there's... I'm going to just say, like, now, I don't think there's a 10 here.
There's not a single 10 in this set.
I think there's a 9, potentially. And I think there's a 1, maybe 2 8s. I don't think there's anything that's a 10. We'll get there, though. Spoiler alert, it's probably Hashaton, if it's going to be that high.
It's close.
So, hard to say, though.
Anyways, goated art alert.
That is really nice art.
Hazoret Godseeker. 1 in a red for a 5/3 God. Indestructible haste, start your engines. 1 tap, target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. Hazoret can't attack or block unless you have max speed. Okay, so here's the downside to start your engines. If you don't specifically have something to turn this on, it'll just sit there, and it does nothing.
Yeah, and slightly awkward thing, Red has a lot of 1-drops. It doesn't have very many 1-drops with evasion.
Yeah.
So, and to be fair, like, it's, your goal is to play decent 1-drop creature, stuff that you don't mind dying, like an Impulsive Pilfer, for example. Right? Turn 2, play Hazoret, swing with Impulsive Pilfer, get up to 2 speed. Turn 3, play some creature that's going to ping your opponent, so it doesn't really matter if your Pilfer gets blocked, but you still have that thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the kind of sequence you're getting to. This is a deck that will probably be online on turn 4, and even potentially before combat.
Yeah, but my payoff then is a 5/3 with Indestructible.
Which is like... okay.
But it doesn't have evasion or trample, which is very important.
Yeah, it does just kind of get chump blocked. It can force bad trades.
Sure.
It's also on the very inconvenient number of 5, which means that, 5 isn't the worst, but it does mean that it's 5 hits to kill a player with commander damage.
Yep.
Is there anything spicy with Break Through the Line in the command zone? I mean... yeah, like, you can make Ragavan get in there every turn.
Sure.
The unblockable ability is potentially relevant. I'll check the EDH rec to see, but I feel like it is just going to be, 1-power hasty dudes. Chandra's Ignition's kind of cool. Other Hazoret.
Other Hazoret. Kellen, yep. The usual suspects I expected to see in this deck.
Yeah, it is just kind of mono red aggro the beats, right? Which, as a deck, is rather unimpressive. Just as a whole, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I really wish I could find something like spicy that we're working with, because I'm looking for some stuff. Like there's this Crimson Caravaneer. It's a 3-mana 2/1 or a 3-mana 1/2 double striker with trample, and for each time it deals combat damage, you make a junk. That's nice.
It's good.
But like,
why am I playing this as my commander again?
Yeah, it's okay. You can do some fear of missing out stuff. That's interesting, actually.
Sure.
Okay, so
that's neat.
Actually, I will give credit where credit is due. Then this does become a mono red Splinter Twin deck, as mono red Splinter Twin is an option when you are playing with fear of missing out.
Sure.
But that's like
multiple steps removed from what your average player is going to even think about.
Yeah, I'll take a look to see if anybody has Splinter Twin in the deck, but I would imagine no, and the answer is no. And then again, when you do Splinter Twin, like, there's a lot of cards that you would put into a Splinter Twin deck that don't make sense with this commander specifically, so yeah, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
It's so awkward. 5/3 stat line's really awkward. Not having any form of evasion or trample. I understand that it gotta be that way for constructed.
Reads like a way to get an infect like toxic payoff with access to double strike. Yeah, but your access to infect in mono red, right? If you're putting it on, if you're trying to give infect to Hazoret, I think you have 1 or 2 options in total.
You've got a grand 2 to give infect.
And if you're working with red creatures that have infect, I believe that's 0 creatures that have infect in red.
You've got a couple colorless ones, but that is it. You've also got a couple colorless with toxic, but even then, I don't necessarily know that I want them to be swinging.
Yeah, let me see. There is 1 creature with there are 3 creatures in red that have infect, plus, some of the colorless ones.
Mm-hmm.
And only 1 way to give infect. So, yeah, giving infect with grafted exoskeleton and then trying to get double strike as well feels like a pipe dream.
Yeah.
You only have to increase your commander's power by 2 to turn this into a 3-shot kill, which is easy enough to do in red. But then getting the unblockable part is awkward, especially if you wanted to use the unblockable on your commander.
Yeah. Like I said, I understand why this card is the way it is. Mm-hmm. It is obviously designed for constructed in mind. This is not a commander card. Let's just give it the 2.
I would maybe make the argument for 3, but 2 feels more accurate. It's really awkward on the support.
All right, incoming goose egg. Here it comes.
All right, Tyrox, saurid, tyrant. 1 in a red for a 4/1 legendary creature, dinosaur warrior. Okay.
Yep.
4 power in the command zone is okay. It's not great. We just talked about how a 5 power one wasn't that impressive, though. To be fair, this one can attack a turn earlier, guaranteed. But
it dies to literally getting sneezed at.
Yes. Red is not particularly well known for making its creatures stronger. Or rather, I can say, it can give it more strength, it can't give it more survivability. It's not good at making the creatures survive.
Vanilla Voltron. We already have that veggie, pretty much.
We have so much vanilla Voltron. Exactly. It is a Voltron deck, though, right?
Yep.
So the real payoff here is, okay, how valuable is 4 power specifically in mono red, because there are 4 color matters cards? How relevant is Dinosaur in mono red, which I just don't think it is relevant, but we'll check. And how relevant is Warrior, which is maybe relevant.
You get to make things cowards in mono red.
You do just get to play Gornog.
Yep.
Which, to be fair, Gornog could have just been your commander, but you wanted to play with the vanilla Dinosaur.
Understood.
So,
have a day.
It's like, we understand the mission, right? So we can go this into Fury's Rise and have access to a mono red version of Phyrexian Arena. That's okay. It's Phyrexian Arena is a card a lot of people are cutting, so like it's not the most enticing to tell me that that's the plan. I appreciate Dragonhawk here. Like, legitimately, I think that's actually a pretty good include.
Drillance Raider, not bad. Rummaging things, pretty solid.
Yeah, giving First Strike in +2 power with Dragon's Grip, or Dragon Grip's not really where I want to be, though.
Nope.
Blasphemous Act, like, I mean, your commander dies to anything, so I guess it's fine.
The usual red suspects.
Yeah, you play with Jessica's Will, which is, you get the mana advantage side of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's red beats.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of reds beats.
I don't...
I feel like the stuff dies very easily, though.
Yeah.
Like, everything here dies easily and doesn't benefit that much. And by comparison to something that's in this deck, which is Annex. Annex being just able to play legitimate mono red aristocrats, which is unusual for the color combination, or, well, the color, but, you know, you can make that work.
I don't know that I can make a 4/1 in mono red work. As weird as that sounds for mono red, like, that sounds like the dream for mono red players half the time, is a 4/1.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the other, like, random support that's here. Like, there's this Triumphant Chomp card, right, that gives you a 1 mana deal 6 removal spell. That's nice. It's good to have. That's like legitimate 1 mana removal.
It's like not the worst.
Yeah, like I can acknowledge that that's pretty solid. But yeah, looking at all like the Voltron stuff that people are trying to do here, it doesn't impress me. It just feels like, you know, kind of generic equipment stuff, which
Yeah, I'm just not impressed in red.
Yeah, we gotta get 3 extra power onto the commander to start turning it into a 3-turn kill, and we have to get 7 power on it to make it into a 2-shot kill. That's doable. It's just rough. Like actively rough to try to make that work.
It's hard. Also, you gotta wait 2 turns for this Blood Mist type effect to actually be played. That's assuming you hit your land drops, because you're also in mono red, and that's a little hard to do, as it turns out.
Yeah. You are going to be lacking card advantage. Vehicles. If you're trying to sell me on the commander, you have just said the wrong word.
Look, Jason's 2 trigger words are vehicles and mutate.
Yes, those are my 2 least favorite mechanics in the game. This is not my set.
If you ever wanted to know what pisses Jason off the most, you should absolutely bring a mutate deck to game night. Every Saturday night, by the way.
More specifically, bring a mutate deck when you have never played it.
Yes.
There you go.
Or even if you have played it, just bring it just so it ticks Jason off.
I mean, that's fair enough. It's just if you want to go for the maximum rubbins, just don't play the deck. Just assemble it and go, I don't know what my cards do. Explain them to me. Is it a 1?
No.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
It dies to a sneeze, Jason. How can it be 1?
It's not good. I'll give you that. Yeah, it dies too much. It doesn't accomplish enough at 2 mana, which is going to be a huge issue with any vanilla creature. All right. How many mono green commanders we got now? 2,
3.
Okay. These won't take too terribly long.
Nope. They shouldn't. I wouldn't think.
Yeah, we can get to the spicier stuff sooner.
Nissa. Wait, Jason, I thought this was spicy.
It's a little spicy.
It's a Nissa, a 4-mana Nissa. World Soul Speaker, 3/3. Landfall, make 2 energy. And that has some flavor text in Magical Christmas Land that you only get in energy decks.
You may pay 8 energy rather than pay the mana cost for permanent spells you cast. So, play 4 lands, cast 1 permanent for free. Not the worst. There's energy stuff. Green energy is...
At best. When I'm wanting to play a tune with Aether, just so I can play good cards.
Yeah. You get proliferate, you get some things. Like there's some decent small synergies. The things that you're paying your energy into are a little bit questionable. I will say that new card that was printed, Pima Trailblazer, right? That thing is... Pima Trailblazer, 2 and a green for a 3/3 Elephant Warrior trample. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you get that many energy, and you can pay 6 to put 2 counters onto it, and then draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control.
Excellent work, Jason.
That's a good energy card.
Yes,
that's a good energy card.
It's something I wish I had in Jeskai. Really bad. But Jason, you get the Aetherflux Conduit, the actual hype energy card.
That is great. I do love that.
That
is legitimately fun.
This just feels like worse loot to me.
Yep. It is a bit worse. It's fine. It's just your commander kind of is contributing to... Well, okay, so it's a parasitic mechanic, right? It's contributing to only the things that have energy on them, and it's fine. It's asking for landfall stuff, which green can certainly deliver on.
Yep.
Is it that good? Not really. Is it close to average? Yeah, pretty close.
I'd say it's slightly below.
I'd say it's probably a 4. As it's just mono green lands with a big energy payoff. It's probably one of the weakest 4s here, but yeah.
You guys go over the Aether Spark Planeswalker. Unfortunately, it cannot be run as my commander as much as I would love it to be.
I can very quickly give you an analysis of it. It really is not good. It has this very, very big problem of it comes down, it attaches to something, you swing with that creature or do something with it, or that creature just dies, and then your planeswalker gets attacked. And what it accomplishes in the meantime is very little. Plus, it's weak to all of the weaknesses that artifacts and planeswalkers are weak to, which are 2 somewhat vulnerable creature types, or card types in the game. So it's just not very good.
Oh, Wolfsbane, we will be answering the question on which is better, Temur or Jeskai, whenever we get to Saheeli and Pianor, because that is actually an extremely relevant topic there.
Yeah, it's a very good point. So, yeah. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yep. Here you go, Jason.
Alright. So, it is Obia, Automech Artisan. 3 and a green for a 1/2 legendary creature, Human Artificer. Each creature that's attacking one of your opponents has trample, and you may pay green, tap it to put a creature card or a vehicle card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you put an artifact onto the battlefield this way, it enters with 2 counters on it. 2 1/1 counters on it. It's Elvish Piper in the command zone.
Elvish Piper in the command zone, that also gives trample.
And, I mean, it wards your opponents with that trample as well, which is decent. It also benefits you for putting artifact creatures into play.
Yeah.
I mean, this is generically just good.
Good. Like, just good.
Yeah, just good. Like, talking about Nissa, I need to play 4 lands to put a permanent into play for free, and she's just like, hold my beer. Like, just
like, why do I need 4 lands? I already have them.
Yeah. Kona also was like, yeah, Kona's good, right? 4 mana for, or if you've never played against Kona, I can assure you, Kona is good.
Yeah.
This is very similar to what Kona is doing, except for Kona gets to put into things like, you know, big dumb artifacts as opposed to just vehicles. So.
Yeah, I don't care when I can put a Terastodon into play. That's good enough.
Yeah, it's just good old mono green stompy. Where are we leaning between the 5 to 7 range?
I'm gonna give it a 6.
You think 6? I was saying 5 or 6. I think 6 is solid.
Wait, let me check. Not sorcery. Yeah, 6.
Oh, there's no sorcery speed restriction on that.
Yeah. That's what I had to check. Make sure.
Yeah, no, that's definitely 6. Honestly, might even put it up a level, but no, I will say 6 is fine. Put big dumb things into play.
Oh, all right. Speaking of big dumb things, oh boy, get Chandler in here. We got a dinosaur alert.
Dinosaur ooze. It's gross. It's great.
Carrion World Tyrant. 2 green for a 9/7 vanilla dinosaur ooze. Unironically, this is the best vanilla legendary creature in the set.
Yeah, probably. Hey, you remember that thing that I said about Yargle?
Yeah.
Okay, like,
Yeah, but
basically the same stuff applies.
But Jason, what if we gave it an actual ass?
But we gave it an actual ass so we can actually hit things?
Yeah.
Oh boy, and we're in the colors that care about big butts and big and just big in general.
And we give things keywords all the time. Yeah.
Ooh, that's not Gigantosaurus. Look, they took away 2 green pips, so they had to take away a total of 4 from that stat line.
It checks out.
Real close.
Checks out.
Also increases thing's power by 2, and it's a 2-shot now, so that's pretty easy to do in green. Are there better commanders in green? Yes. Is
slightly below average? Also yes.
I would say probably a 3. It is still just vanilla.
True. I mean, it's a screen. Maybe that's the screen being just good.
Green is just good, right? It's a perfectly fine card. It's got a big stat line. Green can take advantage of that. Also, while we're here, I did just notice we have Zapandrel down as a 3. I think we can bump Zapandrel to a 4.
Zapandrel gets to go to a 4.
Yeah.
That card tends to overperform in my commander games when it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even in the command zone. I was impressed by it when Phil was playing it.
Yep.
Flexibility. How flexible is this thing?
It kicked my ass in free release decks. I believe that. Dude,
yes,
5 mana 9/7 is scary.
Yes. This thing is just an effective stat line. It's a really good effective stat line.
Yeah, like, actually terrifying and sealed.
Fortunately, we're playing Commander, where Blasphemous Act exists.
Yep. Alright. Orzhov.
Oh, no, we have an Azorius. Oh, yeah, it is the Azorius one. You
sorry,
just
my brain...
Like, oh God, what did we skip?
My brain has been focused too much on work, guys. Please forgive me.
It's all good. Nobody minds. Alright, so, Medicant Core Guidelight. This is white and a blue for a star 3 legendary artifact creature robot. Medicant's core power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. It has Starcher Engine. And at max speed, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1. If you do, copy it. Alright, so this is Mirror Works in the command zone, but it only costs 2 mana.
And we're wanting to play Thopters anyways, so...
Yeah. We still get to play some evasive artifact creatures. There's granted, this might be a little harder to actually get to max speed compared to some of the other commanders we've talked about today, because
I mean,
it's the incentive, right? Of we don't really have a whole lot of like 1-mana evasive artifact creatures.
that's true. This feels like Mu Yangling.
Oh, kind of like what Mu Yanling wants.
Yeah, it's basically wanting the same exact thing. You still want to have a ton of Thopters to then get your Mirror Works online. It also makes your commander bigger. So...
Yeah. And also, for what it's worth, we're just playing generic artifacts anyway.
Yeah, like
we're playing blue-white artifacts nonetheless. We're not here to win fast.
No.
This is the extra value territory.
I'm here for it, though, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a good commander, like, actively good. It sits somewhere between the 6 to 8 range for me. I think it's probably a 7, and I hate you for putting that color into play. I do like that art, though.
I like both the regular and the alternate art. They look really good.
I think all of the arts are just solid.
Yeah, I mean 7, 6, 7.
Yeah. The commander will
Easily.
get big and actually punch pretty well. Like we talked about a 2-mana vanilla creature that's an artifact, and this one's gonna get to that stat line very easily. Plus you get some of the evasion card things like give flying.
Yeah.
Right? It just feels like it's fine. It's doing its thing. 6.
So 6.
Yeah, I think it hits a 6 territory.
6.
It's got like a 9 for the support. It's very close to what it wants. It's just missing that evasion.
All right, Dimir time.
It's just winter, right?
We have winter again. Winter
Hooray!
Cursed Rider. Dimir for 3/2. Human Warlock. Totally looks like a human, by the way.
Definitely
Ward,
not a spirit.
pay 2 life. Artifacts you control have ward, pay 2 life. Exhaust for 2 and Dimir tap. Exile X artifact cards from your graveyard. Each non-artifact creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. That exhaust ability is just awful.
Okay, so I have generally been of the opinion that ward, pay a couple of life is like, that's fine. Don't get me wrong. It's like, okay. But that being your main ability that we care about is really a nothing burger of an ability. Like, it really doesn't give you much. It's a protection that's an optional protection. If we go back to was it 5-mana Mishra from Brothers War? 4 or 5 mana?
Yep.
The one that gives all of your, I think it's your creatures and artifacts, or just your artifacts, like ward, make your opponent sacrifice a permanent, and how irrelevant that line of text actually is.
Yeah, the only thing you care about it is it gives things escape.
Yes.
Or something else. I forget what it is. Undying. It's one of those effects.
I think it's Unearth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me pull it up. Just.
It's one of those graveyard effects.
Mm-hmm.
And this has nothing burger text, and then its exhaust ability is also basically a nothing burger. So
yeah, the removal is like whatever.
Unearth because it exiles. Okay.
Yes. And also those permanents you control get ward sacrifice a permanent, which is a much better protection ability. But ultimately it just doesn't matter because spending 5 mana to protect your other good things with a optional removal spell, or like a bad removal spell getting put onto it, wasn't worth it, and 2 life is nothing. 2-mana commanders do matter because there's a lot you can do with the 2-mana commander, but their commander still needs to contribute something.
Like, yeah, my Dimir 2-mana Dimir commander that does nothing for my deck doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I actively just think this card is just bad.
Yeah, it's like I'm not sure what it actually wants to do, because a 2-mana 3/2 stat line tells me like, hey, go aggressive, right? But like, you gave me a defensive ability that cares about artifacts. Do you want me to play equipment? Like, what is this? So I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and just say it's a 2, not because it is good, but because the cards in the deck will be good.
Classic blue black X just being good enough to get there. And gotta love it.
Like I fail to see an enticing reason to play this card. I could be wrong. But I feel like it is just a generic pile of artifacts without a lot of direction. Just play the most threatening artifacts you can find and hope for the best.
Yep.
Alright.
Anyways, on to actually Rakdos. The thing that Start Your Engines was made for.
And actually a surprisingly interesting commander when you get into the nitty-gritty of it. Alright,
yep.
So Far Fortune in boss. 2 and a red-black for a 4/5 legendary creature human mercenary with Start Your Engines. Whenever you attack, Far Fortune deals 1 damage to each opponent, and at max speed, if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent opponent controls, it deals that damage plus 1. So, relevantly, Far Fortune, whenever you attack,
good.
Just generally speaking, you send any number of creatures, you're going to deal 1 damage to each opponent, which immediately is going to cause you to increase your speed.
Which is all we really care about. I will gladly shove a goblin token to guarantee myself increasing speed.
Yes. This is just aggro at its core. It's eventually going to be like, at minimum, Far Fortune, somebody on your team swings and you'll deal 2 damage to each opponent, which is not like that big of a deal. But this is one of the few commanders that I'm like, yes, actually, I would love to put like every Start Your Engine card in here.
Yep. I want every single Start Your Engine card. I want every single pinging card. Mm-hmm. Just sign me up for this.
Give me doing some damage, and when you're on the ping train, you can start doing weird stuff with like Obnixilis. You can do, well, Obnixilis isn't great once you have Far Fortune active, but it's funny. All around, it is pretty solid. It's just it's kind of a generic turn your deck sideways aggro deck again. Get a little bit of thing in there.
Totally doesn't need more of.
Right. It's a type of deck where O'Hare Ashneel is good in the deck, but also like O'Hare Ashneel would be the much better commander to play.
Yep.
But that's just because that card's dumb. Which does not mean that this card is not solid in its own right. I think this is the type of deck that it will accomplish the goal. It will accomplish it fine. It will barely cross that finish line to get itself to a 5.
Yeah.
And it might be a 4. I will be honest.
I see what you did there, Jason, on crossing the finish line in the racing set.
Yes.
I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt 5. Rakdos aggro still continues to be solid enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just always solid.
Yeah. It's able to do the thing decently well.
All right.
Next one.
We have Red Shift Rocketeer Chief. Gruel for a 2/3. Goblin Pilot Vigilance. Tap. Add X mana of any one color at X's Red Shift's power. Spin this mana to only activate abilities. So it's tap add 2 at base. And it has 10 Gruel. Put any number of permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. That's an exhaust ability.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The tap ability is super strong.
Yes.
It is not hard to increase power in Gruel.
Yes. It And if I remember correctly, there is a way to combo with this thing.
Yes, because there is a card that allows you to activate exhaust abilities as though they didn't have exhaust.
Mm-hmm.
And you can easily tap untap, because like an Umbral Mantle is an ability on the creature, not...
Correct. And Umbral Mantle also gives +2/+2. So,
yeah.
Well, when you do the first untap, right? And it's equip 0. So you can play Redshift, play Umbral Mantle, equip, same turn. And all you will need to do is gain either 1 mana or 1 power to then generate infinite mana for activated abilities. And in the process, you have an infinitely large Redshift that can punch somebody.
Yep.
While also doing its exhaust ability.
Yep.
Without that combo specifically, or well, I guess it also does stuff with Staff of Domination. It always can do stuff with Staff of Domination.
Not irrelevant.
Yeah, not irrelevant. Sword of the Perrunes, that's another one. Yep.
Magus of the Candelabra to filter your activated ability mana into regular mana. It's very relevant. So...
mono green loot on the scale was a 7 because it's both card advantage and mana advantage in the command zone, doing exactly what it wants for support. It's Azusa does very explosive things, but needs the card advantage to support it, whereas loot is just like, okay, I ran out of stuff to do, tap.
I spin the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just like strictly a point or two worse than loot, and we have loot at a 7, right?
Yeah, I think so. My only thing about this is, and this is always going to be the big restriction with this one, how am I winning with activated abilities when I only have access to activated abilities?
Easy. Walking Ballista.
Yep, that's a good one. Yeah, you'll need to assemble some pieces to make that happen. Green Artifact Tutors, not the most relevant. And again, this is also assuming that you're going deep on trying to do the activated ability stuff. Or rather, I should say the combos specifically, which, to be fair, it's in over 50% of the decks for people who have built this, so... Yeah, you can probably assume that people are going to try to do infinites.
Agatha Soul Cauldron, chicaneries.
Mm-hmm. This is one where I think activated abilities as a whole, the cards in the deck, I think drag it down a little. Because once again, mana intensive activated abilities, oh boy, how few of those do we actually want to use? So now it becomes, what do we actually want to spend on an activated ability?
Good question. I don't actually know. I'd like to spin Loot's Wheel a couple times.
Yeah, loot's good in the deck. You
Like,
can Tamer Sabertooth stuff, which is a little iffy, but...
Agatha's activated ability is very relevant here.
Yes, Agatha's good. And Soul Cauldron. Hold on. I actually know how many people are playing the Soul Cauldron now that I look at it. 40%. Okay.
Expensive card. That's the only reason.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the pieces here seem individually decent, but not great.
Does it say of creatures, or is it just activated abilities in general?
I believe it's just activated abilities in general. Right?
Oh boy, we're playing Equipment Voltron?
Sure, this works with equipment. That's not like the most enticing thing, but I don't hate it.
You can just practically free equip to something better than this.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't require you to tap your commander, but...
Belt of Giant Strength, that's funny.
Belt of Giant Strength in particular is the really interesting one. Yeah, so this is a weird one, actually.
It's a bit more nuanced.
Yeah, this is one of those cards where I think this is one of those situations where I would have to build it to know, right? Or I would have to see somebody play it against me to know just how good it is. I think Kelvin's probably hit the nail on the head here as like, or no, sorry, there's a goblet that deals for 5 or 6 that deals 3 to all of your opponents. Yeah, that's fine. There's an invoker that does that. So yeah,
Balls Invoker here on the screen.
Sorry, I thought you were saying like the rating is a 5 or 6, and I'm like, I think that's probably correct. Helix Pinnacle, yes, that is. Yep. And if you generate infinite mana, you're able to Helix Pinnacle on the following turn. That's right. Yeah, it's upkeep. You win. I think there's a lot of potential. I just don't know how it all comes together exactly, or at least how cohesive it feels.
There are also some just really, really good activated abilities.
Absolutely. You can just kill people with Shaman of Forgotten Ways.
Shigeki's channel is unironically really, really good.
That's true.
It's in your hand. There's quite a few activated abilities that I'm like pretty okay just jamming in my deck.
I agree. Yeah, it's just
I want to give it benefit of the doubt 6.
You want to say benefit of the doubt 6?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like the answer is like a 5-7, 5-8 split sort of thing. Because I know if you build it really well, there's definitely something like this is strong combo potential.
With the amount of Walking Ballistas and Agatha Soul Cauldrons in the deck, you're talking not the majority, but like close enough to it that I can really just say, yeah, it's probably good enough to give it a 6, but
baseline 6.
Yeah.
Do we still want to split rating on it or no?
I would like to go 6-7.
6-7. Okay, we'll do that then.
It gets a little better, but not by much.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. All right, well, in the meantime, let's go on to the next one here.
All right. Caradora, Heart of Alacria. Selesnya for a 4/2 legendary creature human knight. Whenever Caradora enters, you may search your library for a mount or vehicle card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle. If one or more +1/+1 counters will be put onto a creature or vehicle you control, that many +1/+1 counters +1 are put on it instead. Yeah. That's
it is certainly caring about a type of cards I don't really care about.
It is certainly caring about really bad cards. Specifically in Commander. That being said, vehicles on the set did get significant buffs. A lot of the saddle creatures are not bad. I don't want to fill my
always creatures.
I don't want to fill my deck with subpar creatures and vehicles.
Yeah, I guess relevant question is, all right, so we have a commander who is a tutor in the command zone, right? Is there a mount or vehicle that is a build around that we just want to find every time? Because I think that's ultimately the deciding factor for me. Because, I mean, at base, this is like, okay.
The Tumblewag.
I could say that Thunderous Velocipede with giving a 1/1 counter to all of your creatures if its mana value is 4 or less. Or rather, just giving a 1/1 counter to all of your creatures or vehicles, that actually has like combo potential to make it a build around card.
Jason, we find Parhelion.
Yeah, and
We find Parhelion.
remind me again. Two hand.
Two hand.
The Valor's flagship, probably not good enough to build around.
Seek's Chariot's definitely a build around, but not for this deck.
Salvation Engine could be a build around.
Yeah. Nautiloid Ship, definitely. You can do some stuff with it.
Okay. I am still far from Oh, Head Shredder. Head Shredder's your build around.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So,
I found one thing.
Do we feel that there were enough vehicles there that's like, yes, you actually can, if you build around this vehicle, you can feel like you can reliably do something?
If I build around the Reaver Titan, I feel like I can reliably do something.
Maybe. Yeah, actually. Like,
unironically, this card is just kind of goated with the saw.
it does good work.
But yeah, three cards that we said are stuff we'd like to build around.
Yeah.
Not good enough.
There's some interaction. It has a little bit of toolbox at least as well. Oh, there's also Lifecraft Engine, which oh god. It's not really worth building around.
No. Hardened Scales deck, sure. I guess.
Yeah, I think
we just abandon that. We say this is flavor text, and we just say it's a Hardened Scales deck.
No, it's not flavor text as a Hardened Scales deck because it specifically gets Thunderous Velocipede.
Yeah. Okay.
So like, okay. How do we feel about generic mounts toolbox? That feels like ones to me.
Yeah.
If you're going deep mounts.
Yep.
If you're going vehicles toolbox, that feels like maybe a 3 to me. Like,
yep.
You have actual removal. You have some things that are like real plays.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're just generically jamming these things in. Then the final question is, if you build around a specific vehicle, can we get that to average?
I think if you just abandon the idea of building around a specific vehicle, you play a couple of the like really good toolboxy stuff, and you just go, hey, I'm going to play 1/1 counters. There's your average deck.
Okay.
That being said, that is nowhere close to what people are doing. So.
Oh, I guess we did overlook one particular card that I do think is very relevant to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It is Fortune Loyal Steed, which is a weird one.
Oh yeah, this card.
2 and a white for a 2/4 legendary creature beast mount with when it ETBs scry 2, and whenever it attacks while saddled at the end of combat, exile it and up to one other creature that saddled it this turn, then return those cards to the battlefield under its owner's control, aka flicker your commander who gets to go tutor something. So long as you can keep Fortune alive.
Yeah.
I think this being both a tutor target and a payoff is kind of the glue piece that makes this work. I still don't know if finding your best your best vehicle every turn is worth it.
I don't think it is.
Did we convince ourselves of a 4?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Because
maybe.
It feels, yeah, like it's somewhere to the 3 to 5 range. I'm not sure.
Let me look at the average.
The card quality's real rough. Maybe it's like a 3-5 split. That's maybe what I'm thinking.
I think it's 3.
Okay, we tried. We very much tried.
It's meh.
It is meh tier. I will at least give it the credit that there is some flexibility there. it is probably better if you build it around a single thing.
Oh, Jason, speaking of mounts and vehicles, we have another mounts and vehicles commander. Except this one is a 1/1.
And a mount. It's a mount.
It is a mount.
Alright, Lerin, Soul of Alacria.
Yep.
Green and a white for a 1/1 legendary creature, beast mount with flying, and whenever this thing again attacks while saddled, you put a counter on each of up to 2 target mounts and or vehicles. So it asks you to put a creature into play that will crew it for eternity, and then it gets a counter every turn when it attacks.
Yeah.
It's not the worst.
It's strictly okay.
It honestly is maybe a 3. Like,
yep.
It is giving itself enough here, where it's like, yes, linearly, I can do something.
It at least buffs itself, which is relevant.
And it is quite easy to do 1/1 counter stuff and all this, spreading it about. The only problem here is mount or vehicle. Yeah. Which really makes me almost want to put it into a 2. But nope. We are going to give it the basic credit of you can do some okay things.
This is a 2-mana thing that your mana dork can easily saddle and make it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It's got evasion on it. It's okay enough.
We will see if mounts eventually do something nice. Alright, can we talk about my favorite card now?
I fucking hate this card. I hate everything this card stands for in Commander.
Let's go, Catcheros.
Everything this card stands for. I hate it.
This is my jam.
I think this card is fucking disgustingly good.
Absolutely.
But I think that the play patterns are just anti-fun.
Hell yeah, I'm having all the fun. All right,
but you're not even having all the fun, because this card actively requires you to either sit there and do nothing, i.e. jerking yourself off with Flicker, or
great time.
Mass board wiping, mass exile board wiping, which is also hurting you, even though it's drawing you cards and losing you life.
I'll do fair when you do the mass, like, hurt your own side of it. Dude, I built it where it didn't affect me at all, but, you know. Alright, Catcheros, New Dawn. You probably already know this card, but I don't care. I'm saying it anyway because I like this card. 1 white and a black for a 4/4 legendary creature, God, with Menace, Lifelink, and Indestructible. Catcheros can't attack or block unless there are 7 or more cards in exile, and whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from graveyards and or the battlefield during your turn, you draw a card and lose 1 life. God, I love this card.
This card is awful.
It makes all of your good removal cantrip.
Like I said, just the epitome of anti-fun.
You get to play all the Grave Hate, and it be good. And it, like, not just be there for emergency situation. It's actively a good part of the plan.
Yeah.
And you can just play Flicker stuff, because Flicker is reasonable. Or you could build this... I'll find my social media post I made about this, because legitimately, my brain is a little fried at the moment, so I cannot remember exactly what I said about this thing.
I would just genuinely think the best way to play this is actually Flicker. Mm-hmm. Unironically. Because the Flicker stuff's just so absurd.
I don't have a good way of finding my own things that I've said.
It's social media. Since when has it ever been good?
Yeah, but I'm specifically looking for the thing that I said, and for some reason, if I click on my profile, it doesn't take me to things I've said. Here, how about that one? There we go, found it.
We're displaying Relics of Progenitus, Lion Sashes, Ghost Vacuums. I appreciate all these cards being here. Do not get me wrong. I very much appreciate everybody playing all of these cards, and I think every single one of these is underplayed in Commander.
Yes. And I love them. Okay, specific thing I said about this is Catcheros is such a surprisingly open-ended commander. Flicker is the easy start, but then there's this need for Grave Hate, which opens up Mill and Discard, which overlaps with Zombies and Aristocrats, which now gives you life gain. And then there's also Abdel Adrian and Leonin Relic Warden combos. Also, if you haven't heard about this card called Necropotence,
Pretty good.
You pay 1 life to put a card into exile. Weird.
Neat.
I guess that means you just immediately get to start doing some shenanigans.
Actually draw a card with Necropotence and not just put it in your hand later?
Well, okay, so here's the real shenanigans, right? Because Necro... Okay, when you activate Necro, you don't immediately draw a card, because Catcheros specifies that you have to be getting it in, put into exile from graveyards and or the battlefield.
So you wait until you discard.
Oh, when you go to discard.
Yep.
You discard 1 card. Necro is going to trigger in your end step to force that card to go into exile, which Catcheros sees and says, well, let's lose life and draw a card. And now in your cleanup step, you get to draw your whole deck. You get to loot through your whole deck.
Yep.
So long as you have life. Which is funny. How it actually wins in your end step, I don't know. But somebody smarter than me can figure it out.
I don't know. I'd much rather see this card played in Modern, where it's more interesting.
Oh, I think it's... I just think this card's great in like every format except like Standard, maybe.
Everything except for Standard, because we don't have good exile removal in Standard. If we did, this card is broken.
Yeah. Might also not be making it into Pioneer, but honestly, don't care.
Yeah, who cares? This card is absurd. Yeah. In terms of raw power and cards we can play in multiple formats, this is the strongest card in the set.
Yes. As a commander, I lean towards 8.
I happen to have to agree with you on that.
I don't think it's busted. I just think it's good, and it's easy to do good things.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I sincerely think the best route is just the Flicker package with Relic of Progenitus and all that added in. All the underplayed utility cards that nobody wants to put in their deck has just got all of its home here.
Mm-hmm. You get to play a bunch of bad cards that become good, or medium cards that become good, or decent cards that were underplayed that become just good.
That become great. Like,
love this guy.
Ghost Vacuum and Relic of Progenitus are probably the 2 biggest good cards that become great. So.
Yep. Alright.
Ready
to talk about Zahur?
Zahur. I like this card.
I do as well, and this is going to be an interesting conversation. It might be a long one as well. So, Zahur, Glory's Past. This is white and a black for a 3/2 legendary creature, Zombie Cat Warrior, with Start Your Engines. Sacrifice another creature, surveil 1, activate this only once each turn. And at max speed, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature, or tapped 2/2 zombie. Okay.
Alright. So, Jason, we've said before that free sacrifice outlets in your command zone are good. Tell me why this is actually not that great here.
Alright, so there is a very, very big restriction, this once per turn clause, right? Typically, when you are using your sacrifice decks, or at least the traditional heuristics of building sacrifice decks, is to accumulate enough resources, sacrifice a few things here and there to, accumulate more resources until you're eventually able to get to the point where you can set up this big sack loop and kill your opponents, right? You sacrifice 5 or 6 things in a single turn. That may be necessary for setting up your living death plays or doing all these crazy sacrifice synergies, right? Restricting yourself to once a turn hurts a lot, though. That said,
the max speed ability is gas.
Yeah,
actually gas.
One of the huge benefits of being able to put your sacrifice, and this is another thing about why sack outlets in the command zone are better than the sack payoffs in the command zone. Because when you play a sack deck, your deck doesn't do anything without a sack outlet, and redundant sack outlets don't necessarily make it better unless it's actually giving you something that you want, but most of the time you just care about it being a free sack outlet, right? You don't care what it does. So when you have the sack outlet in the command zone, you get to free up like 7 to 8 slots in your deck to just be like good cards that you care about, which means fuel, things that you can sacrifice.
And also, friendly reminder, chat, with how Orzhov Aristocrats works, half the time you are only sacrificing 1 card a turn anyways.
Yeah. Earlier in the game, you'll just be sacrificing 1 thing here and there.
You can find, which then replaces itself, and you can also find other sack outlets super easily because it is surveilling 1 every time.
Correct. So you still need a couple of sack outlets in your deck because you need the free ones. But you don't need that many. And you can just get like Barto and have a good day.
You have the president of the Barto Club, and then
Basri
or Carrion Feeder. You have all 3 of them in your deck, and you just it's just good.
And pick your altar of choice, right?
Yeah.
Given how this deck also is surveilling specifically, this has some synergies with setting up to do reanimation stuff as well. So you may want specifically Altar of Dementia as your free sack outlet of choice.
Also, friendly reminder, this is a zombie, so your Gravecrawler is turned on.
Yes. Yes, it is. Which Viscera loves this card. Unfortunately, still only provides you 1 additional 2/2 zombie per turn, but hey, like, Gravecrawler's still good.
I mean, if you get the free sack outlet, like a Phyrexian Altar, you sacrifice it there, you make infinite 2/2s, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can just surveil your whole deck away at that point. Or, well,
Yeah.
you gotta go through some loops to get there.
You gotta go through some loops to do that. It's still really strong.
Yeah. It's... The thing is just, how much is the once per turn holding it back?
Quite a bit, but it can kind of make up for it. Which is like very surprising.
Right. It makes up for the fact that it's hamstrung itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's giving you zombie synergies.
This is like the epitome of WotC actually did a good job of balancing this card.
Yeah, like this card's really, really interesting in how it's designed. I want to give it a 7. Does that sound about right to you?
I was thinking 6, 7, somewhere in that range.
Mm-hmm.
The once per turn clause is pretty big.
Yeah, it's now that we've been talking it out more. The fact that I'm just sitting there thinking, like, you know, the pingers make this very easy to hit max speed. It's still not like nothing to hit max speed, but it's not too bad.
You're already playing a slightly slower game anyways, because you're playing aristocrats, so you're fine with taking a little bit of time.
Yep. And you get to play with the builds that you want to sacrifice your creatures, not necessarily just tokens.
Yep.
Which is interesting. That is another, like, restriction, but it's not like the worst restriction. It's just why not Bartolome del Presidio instead of this guy? Because you want something slightly weaker and different.
Because Bartolome is one of the best Orzhov commanders. The best Orzhov commander ever printed?
It's up there, for sure. Like, I don't know if I would give it firmly number 1, but I mean, looking at it by the numbers for what we've put here, yes.
Okay, there you go.
So,
according to Smoothbrain, Bartolome is the best Orzhov commander ever printed.
Yeah, honestly, I think it beats out Teysa Karlov.
Yeah.
So,
there you go. You just want something that you can play in pretty much any pod.
Yeah, I think you can build this deck in a way that it's very easily playable in any pod. You know, except CDH maybe. I think 7's the spot for it.
Thinking of adding the... Yeah, of course you would put this in Greasefang. Why wouldn't you put this in Greasefang?
Ooh, yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I didn't think about this in Greasefang. Crews a decent number of vehicles, sacrifices them so they don't go back to your hand.
Yeah.
Gives you a 2/2 that helps crew more things later. Not that, well, not the easiest to get max speed with Greasefang, but not the worst.
I mean, it's still, like, I don't even care if it makes a 2/2 at that point. It's just another sack outlet, which is another 2-mana sack outlet, which is big. But does he have the swag of Taste of Karlov? Okay, give me 1 second. Yes.
You do have that drip, though. God, that's a buff cat.
God bless.
All right, shall we move on to our next one?
All right.
This one's a fun one, too.
Is it this one next? Captain Howler?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because tabs started opening up weird on me.
I need a beverage. Your turn.
All right. Captain Howler, Sea Scourge. 2 and is it for a 5/4 legendary creature, Shark Pirate. Ward 2, pay to life. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn for each card discarded this way. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw a card. Jason, how easy is it to loot in Is It colors?
Oh boy, is it easy. Art reminds you of Brutaclad. You know, fair. It does have a very similar posture.
All right, let me fix that.
Mouth open, head empty. Let's go.
head empty, discard ready. Ward 2 pay to life is one of the more backbreaking ward abilities.
Yeah.
So on a very extremely good commander, because you're doing things that your colors want you to do and just giving you a benefit for that.
Alright, so let's bring up the nuance with this commander real quick. So this is a very important thing to understand about this commander. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, target creature gets that +2/+0 for each card discarded this way. But the drawing a card is 1 card.
Yes.
So the preferable way to play this commander is to discard cards 1 at a time, as opposed to casting a wheel. A wheel, don't get me wrong, a wheel is still good, right? Because you just discard like 5 cards, give +10 to some random creature, and when it bonks, you just build up your hand and drew another card, so it's not bad, right?
The way this is worded, that this is separate instances of drawing a card, correct? They get put onto the creature? Okay.
Yes. So each time you discard a card is stacking up another ability of draw 1.
Yeah.
So it really, really wants you to discard your hand 1 at a time to do with the whole looting thing.
Badgesaur time, boys. Badgesaur time.
Oh yeah, put a Surly Badgesaur in here. Honestly, like, this card is just generically good.
Yeah.
And the thing it wants you to do, 1 mana evasive creatures. Man, we've talked a lot about those today. It feels like that's a mechanic of the set.
It's almost like there's none of those in the set when the set's entirely designed around it or something.
Mm-hmm.
What?
But very importantly,
Monument to Endurance.
That's hot.
The new goated card.
Yeah, this card is just generally quite easy to work with. Like, it's very easy to give you a few options. You do your evasive creature stuff. You do your, like, discard combo-y stuff. Riel is fine here. Not great here. Depends on if you're playing wheels or not.
My lad Inti.
Oh, Inti's fun.
And Brawlin, I guess, is cool. Brawlin can exist here.
Yeah, Brawlin's fine. Like, Glenhorn Buccaneer and Brawlin, like, they're just doing the same thing. You're just doing the whole discard stuff, right? Like, your Conspiracy Theorist, your Containment Constructing, your Mary Reed and Annie and Bonnie's actually, like, decent.
Momo is always good.
It's big value. It's Blighted Agent. That is certainly an option. Not too hard to kill somebody with Infect in this. Although you do have to keep your thing alive. The only downsides are the risk reward, right? You are investing into a creature. If it gets killed, you are in a bad spot.
You're also an Izzet, so you do have a little bit of protection.
It's just counter magic.
You have counter magic. You're filtering cards like crazy, so you can hold up that interaction.
You don't have to go super heavy on lands. You can play more spells. MDFCs are also your friends. Like, not that you have to go like super crazy on it.
All the cycling is good.
Yes, cycling works here. Although at the cost that you're paying for it, it's a little better if you can get the 1 mana ones.
You think I'm paying mana for cycling?
Oh?
Don't we have something that reduces it to 0? Come on, Jason.
Yeah, you have to have like 7 cards in hand to do that one.
Look, we can cook with gas.
Alright, or fluctuator stuff as well, right?
Yeah.
This is just generically, like, it's a solid deck. It's got some risk reward to it.
Yeah.
And it's going to do something splashy, potentially just win the game pretty easily. It's between that 6 to 8 range again. I lean a little more towards 6, just because of the risk.
I like it at a 6. I can see an argument for a 7, though, very easily.
Yeah. I can see it going either way. Is it just a 7 just because of all the wheels nonsense, card draw synergies? You're not that reliant on your commander then?
I mean, Windfall in this deck is just cracked, right?
Yeah, alright, we'll give it 7. I think it's probably the card itself is a 6, and then the support is,
I said
cracked.
You're doing the thing that your colors want to do. They want to rummage. That is it wants to rummage.
Yeah. Captain Howler is just gold, man.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Alright, Cameron deck alert.
Oh boy, is it.
It has bug on it.
It's Atchik, Emerald Radian. 3 black and green for a 3/3 legendary creature insect druid. When it enters, create a 1/1 green insect token for each artifact and or creature in your graveyard. Whenever another insect you control dies, put a 1/1 counter onto Atchik, and each opponent loses 1 life. How many 6 mana bug commanders do we have at this point?
Too many. Next question. 6 mana bug commanders will continue until morale improves.
Honestly, this is fine. Yeah. Like, it's actually just like
strictly.
Honestly, probably at least like 5. Like, you load up your graveyard, you put your thing into play, you make some bugs, they die. It does the mid-rangey bug thing.
Yeah.
It particularly wants you to go with the self-mill route, which bugs have been big on doing at this point. It sits somewhere between 4 to 6 for me, and I'm convinced more in like 4.5 is the spot, but I'll put it at a 5.
I'm convinced more on a 4 than anything. Okay. Mainly because anytime there's an insect commander, it always ticks me off because of Cameron. So.
Personal grudge.
That is a personal grudge, personal vendetta. Anyways, next question.
Yeah. I do like that it gives you the support of using artifacts, so you can do artifact ramp in the deck as well and justify that. But
it genuinely, it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But also, man, I'm just tired of seeing these 6 mana insect commanders that aren't that interesting.
Yeah. I feel you. All right.
Anyway, speaking of commanders that are not super interesting.
Colin.
I like his art, though.
I actually do legitimately like Colden's art. It's neat. Where's that Morgan Freeman looking one?
Yeah, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legit. That's like a solid 60% Morgan Freeman.
Alright, Colin, Triumphant Caster, Boros, 2/3, Human Pilot. Mounts and vehicles you control have haste. Whenever a mount you control enters, it becomes saddled until end of turn. Whenever a vehicle you control enters, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. Hey Jason, we just solved half the problems of mounts and saddles.
Mm-hmm.
Or of saddles and vehicles, sorry.
Yep. I have very little positive things to say about a vehicles commander.
Oh no. I'm just saying we solved half the problems. Not we solved all the problems.
Mm-hmm. So, legit, the thing here for me is, okay, so they come in, they're crewed for 1 turn, and they attack, you still have the issue of, like, if you want persisting value out of them, you gotta wait. Best thing you can put into play is Parhelion. Who would have thought?
What? No, I couldn't believe that. Anyways.
Given what we have out of red-white, I don't know how many people are doing this, but my mind actually went to the thought of, if I'm trying to cycle through vehicles consistently, and I'm not doing it with mounts, because mounts are just not good enough.
No.
If I'm trying to cycle through vehicles enough consistently, then, Kelvin, it's not a 9. Shut up. Rex Nebula is not a 9. If I get to, if I want to cycle through these things consistently, I feel like I want to be doing welder stuff. Again. So, I don't feel like most people are doing welder stuff. I feel like they're just playing, vehicles and that's it.
No, it said vehicles and mounts, Jason. Come on.
Yeah,
Don't you know the average Magic player, monkey brain go, neuron activation? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, is what it is, right? But we've gotten even more pieces of, like, one-off artifact reanimation, right? Parhelion coming down for a single turn, it getting its haste right away so it can create the angels, to which those angels can crew it for the rest of the game. That's good enough.
Yeah.
The rest of them are not so convenient. Although RMS Titanic actually is, because that's just a lot of treasures.
The Weatherlight actually is as well, because it is a way to dig through your deck.
Yeah. That one's a little more iffy for me, but it's not bad.
Reaver Titan, once again, being a goated card.
Yeah, if you're, like, it's also about the looping, but getting that into play and just having it sit there, that one's good.
Yeah.
Right? So, while I do believe this looping is the way to go with this, which means you're playing looting, you're playing reanimation effects, you're also not limited to just playing vehicles at that point. You get to just, like, play a Portal to Phyrexia and call it a day. That's pretty solid. It's okay. My question, like, Culloden's just letting me do the thing once, and it's fine.
Yep. 3. 2-3.
Yeah, it honestly maybe hits up to a 4, but I think 3's fine for it.
Like,
it's just specifically the looping stuff is something I'm interested in, but just jamming vehicles and stuff, no.
As I stated before, we solved half the problems with mounts and vehicles. Not all the problems, half of them. Anyways, here's a frog with tits. This is what the Magic player brain actually wants.
Yep, that's exactly what we all need. Alright, Sabsaman. Luxa embodied. 3 a green and a blue for a 6/6 legendary creature god with reach, trample, and indestructible. Sabsaman can't attack or block unless it has an even number of counters on it. 0 is even. At the beginning of your first main phase, put a 1/1 counter onto Sabsaman. Then, if it has an odd number of counters on it, draw 2 cards. So you can alternate between attacking/blocking with this commander and drawing cards with it. At least based on the trigger.
Yeah, Jason, I don't know about you, but anytime I put extra counters on something, usually it becomes even. And anytime I double counters on something, I know for a fact that makes it even.
Yes.
So it basically doesn't have a clause of it can't attack or block.
It'll quickly get to the point where it is able to attack and block.
Okay, and then it's an insanely good keyworded body that incentivizes itself to get bigger. And you're playing blue and green, which also like big dumb things. 7?
I feel like the hoops it jumps through maybe pulls it down a peg to 6, but I can see an argument for 7. It is just Simic value.commander. And it is going to get very large and beefy, and it's just able to attack without issue.
Like I said, the vast majority of times this thing's going to have even counters. I could even see it happening before it comes down. You can get to the point where you will always have even counters. So
yeah, and it doesn't mind the game going long. It can stall it. You can just play ramp and like you could literally play this as a control deck if you wanted to.
Yep,
it'd be a weird control deck, but you can do it. I'm still not 100% convinced on a 7, but like I'll give it.
All glory to the Hypnotoad.
Indeed. Alright. Sita. Your go.
Alright. Sita Varma, Master Racer. Simic for a 2/3 human rogue. Exhaust X green blue. Put X 1/1 counters on Sita Varma. Then you may have base okay. You may have base power and toughness of each other creature you control become equal to Sita Varma's power until end of turn. Yeah, she needed a better card. I agree, V.
Well,
this is your infinite sync, like a finale of Devastation, essentially.
Yeah, it's your overrun commanders, right? Like, It's just ramp, overrun. Did I win?
If no, I cry. And I concede the game.
Yeah. Ooh, I just thought of something weird about this commander that I don't like, but I don't think will actually come up, like, ever. If you activate this exhaust ability, and in response, your opponent goes and gives it -3/-3. It won't put any counters on it, but the effect will still resolve, and its last known power was -1/0, so it just kills your board.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Is she a relevant character in the lore? Yeah, this is Spitfire. I mean,
yep.
I don't know why the character that's named Spitfire is a Simic commander. Also, her dad that did the whole coup thing didn't get a card, so that's neat too.
I mean,
yeah, it's weird.
3.
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty low value for a ramp commander. She's linearly trying to hope that the ramp is good enough, and that just does it.
Meh.
She is extremely unimpressive.
She could have been Teamer. If this was Teamer, then we might be talking. We can actually have some gas then.
Make it 3 mana, give it some slightly different ability, or another ability to compensate for the fact that it's now up a mana cost or something. Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Yeah, we could do something with that.
Like give it a keyword. Any keyword would probably help.
Alright,
broken commander alert.
Yep. Alright. Hashton, Scarab's Fist. White-black, 1/3. Legendary creature. Zombie Wizard. Whenever you discard a creature card, you may pay 2 and a blue. If you do, create a tapped token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 4/4 black zombie.
Jason, why doesn't this exile?
That's a great question, honestly.
Literally every other version of this effect exiles. Why doesn't this one?
Yeah, honestly, that's the thing that surprises me about this. It not exiling the card gives you a lot of great options for just reanimation stuff. It's not great. Okay, you could do this whole legendary base thing. You don't have to do a whole legendary base thing. There's a lot of good legendary creatures to reanimate, but you don't have to.
No, I'm just here to go ham with Tortured Existence, Jason.
Oh yeah, the Tortured Existence thing is hilarious. Tortured Existence Psychic Frog in this deck? Yes.
Yeah.
God, I love it. And it is also worth mentioning, that explains why Putrid Tempo's been going up in price. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, the deck is like just a very easily built, solid reanimator deck, and it's reanimator without actually having to put reanimate in your deck if you don't want to.
You should.
You should. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
you should.
But there's also a bunch of these creatures that you're reanimating that are like this Jingataxis, Valgaboth. Bowman is hilarious. Making a 4/4 Bowman that doesn't die to another Bowman.
While still having the 1/1 Bowman in your graveyard if somebody does try to stop you with a Bowman and you show them what justice means.
Yep.
And by justice, I mean absolute scorn.
Elish Norn's very, like, there's so many... This is what I've said about, like, even finality counter reanimator decks. There's so many things that I just need it to come once, and I don't care what its power and toughness is.
Yeah. And also, being able to, like, chain stuff with Metamorphosis Fanatic is hilarious. Like, if you have Phyrexian Delver, Metamorphosis Fanatic, any of those guys, like, you get to just chain some creatures into play. Yes, Phyrexian Delver will, like, essentially kill you, but it's fine. It's okay. God. You're playing this insane deck.
Talk. I forgot it makes a fucking creature. You make triple of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... Yeah.
That's no longer Magical Christmas Land, because this is actually super easy to do.
Yeah, because you can just make the O'Hare talk into the thing, as you can do with the Mondrak.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't think about those ones. Yep. Okay. Yeah, it's a lot of mana, but like this is a commander where it's like you put your removal onto creatures. If you're doing the thing, you're winning the game. If you're not doing the thing, you still just have a whole bunch of looting and discard to try to do the thing later, and you're just ramping in the meantime.
Yeah.
It'll play like a distinctly fine game even if things are going wrong. Leveler is funny. And we also haven't gotten into it, but this is also a commander that people have been messing around with for CDH.
Isn't Leveler a part of the CDH combo there? Because you can like do this in response to trigger reanimate Leveler, remove deck.
Yeah. There's some weird things you can do with Hashaton when you're doing the CDH stuff where you're trying to go really fast. There's apparently there's a very weird Magical Christmas Land turn 1 win that you can do. It does require you to have a land, a Dark Ritual, a Lion's Eye Diamond, and a 0 mana Accelerant. But it allows you to do Hoarding Broodlord lines.
I know there's some Magical Christmas Land where you can do this at a point when nobody can actually respond to you. You can just win the game with discarding abilities. Yeah. It's
there's just a lot of layers to what you can do with this. And as a result, like, even if we're not trying super hard, right? Turn 1 or turn 2, you play a discard thing. Turn 2, turn 3, you play Hashaton. Turn 4, or turn 3, or turn 4, discard whatever random thing you want, and just make a 4/4 copy of it. It's easy.
Yep.
Like, that's a no ramp curve that you can do. I think this commander just kind of innately leans itself into very high power, somewhere between 8 or 9. I lean towards 9.
I lean towards 9 because there's a lot of... The fact that it doesn't exile is probably where it just becomes a 9 for me. Because I can go discard threat, make a 4/4 copy of it. They remove 4/4 copy, I reanimate threat.
Yes.
Like...
Yeah, it just has a frankly unreasonable safety net.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind, you play this as zombies, and it's completely reasonable.
Oh yeah, you can just play zombies with this.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. We put Darkwater at 0 at the top.
Don't worry about it.
I'm not worried about it. You're worried about it.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. There we go. It's fixed.
Everything's right in the world.
Everything is fine. All
We'll talk
right.
about the other zombies, Commander.
The best, just raw zombies, Commander.
Mm.
All right, Timid. Nakatum's Will. 2 and Esper for a 4/4 zombie wizard with vigilance and menace. Whenever you attack, draw a card, then discard a card. Whenever you draw a card, zombies you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Jason, what are zombie decks known for?
Reanimation, going wide, drawing some cards and doing some stuff.
All right. So what if I told you now all of my tokens that I went wide with are now 4/4s guaranteed every turn?
Yeah. Yeah, the pressure here feels pretty good. The Anthem is, it's honestly quite nice. 5-mana commander is always something that makes me a little bit wary, but at least Timet is providing a +1/+1 the turn it comes down just because of the
it's
trigger.
immediately making stuff 3/3s.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That does give you enough where you're able to start pushing through damage, because 3/3 is about the stat line where I'm like, yeah, now we are trading off very valuable resources, or I am favorably trading with some resources. I may run into a random 6/6 dinosaur over there, but I took 7 off of you, or I took 9 damage off of you in the process.
Yeah, and also you drawing cards on other people's turns makes your board easier to block with as well.
Yeah.
So
it plays very well with a lot of the older zombies commanders in the same colors as well.
Yep.
Like, Verena actually just makes this go crazy.
Yep.
Okay.
And also, you're not limiting yourself to just Dimir, which is increasingly becoming more and more relevant.
I mean, with just random token synergy as a whole, and, black-white zombies, the white zombies are not the best cards, but they're not bad.
Yeah, but I don't get on Wings of Gold. And that other thing that's like the Typal Chiganeries enchantment that we just got.
Renewed Solidarity?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. We can always just do Rooftop Storm if we want to. I wonder if white adds anything in for that.
I don't think so.
It probably adds in drain effects that just cause you to win. If there was some random combo that results in returning a zombie back to your hand. Aside from Aetherdrift. Aetherdrift just goes impotent with Rooftop Storm anyway, so no problem there. But
I mean, there's just a lot of good here.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, white also gives you much better removal.
Yeah.
Than just blue-black has.
Yeah, the token synergy stuff. I don't know if Orange Soul Trader's actually that good here, but it's not bad. Oh, you gotta do Rotodrobic stuff.
Yep.
You get non-legendary versions of it as well, so you could kill Timid, reanimate Timid, which is not a terrible thing to do, and then you have 2 Timids.
2 Timids sounds really good to me. I don't know about you.
No, that seems pretty solid. My only issue, and this is just a complaint I always have about zombies as a whole, zombies have a lot of things that they put into play, and as a result, the decks feel a lot like these are stuff that, they work well enough. They just never feel insanely powerful to me. But at the same time, this takes you in angles that redefines what you're doing with zombies, and it actually makes sense.
Yep.
I'm still not sold on it for sure, but I definitely think it is good. It's definitely I would say at least above average.
Like I said, in terms of raw zombie stack, we're just playing zombies, I think this is strictly the best.
Yeah, potentially. I'm trying to remember what we've done with some of it. Well, it's competing with Wilhelt. Wilhelt's quite good, but
it's just as consistent as Wilhelt to me.
That's right. So where would you put it then?
I put it a 6-7, somewhere in that range.
Okay. 6-7 was the range I was thinking as well. I'm, again, not sold on higher. You could maybe convince me on a 5, but I don't think it is a 5, because the pressure is just that good.
And I mean, at the end of the day, you can also play this as a cheeky reanimator deck. I don't know that you want to, but you can, because it does give you an easy way of discarding.
Yeah. We have Verena at a 6 currently. I think Verena is actually probably a 5, and Timit's a 6.
So, Timid is better than Verena, or has a better floor than Verena, but Verena will just strictly have a higher high. If that makes sense.
Maybe? I mean, so the thing I'm really... Like, the thing that is selling me, right, is the +1/+1 to zombies is better than people would give it credit for at first glance. And, like, as people are pointing out, Windfall is a win con.
Yes.
So, Verena does not do that, but Verena makes reanimation easier. So, do we value the reanimation that Verena brings over Timid, or do we think those are just, that's an apples and oranges comparison, and realistically, they're just 6s with doing similar things, but in different veins?
I think, because I know how Magic player brain work, Verena's a zombie deck, even if we all know reanimation's strictly better. And if we're going to be putting it on their both zombie decks because Magic player brain. Timid is strictly better, and Verena needs to go to a 5.
Okay, that's fine by me.
So,
I think that is a perfectly fine assessment.
And in the same vein, what do we have Will Held at? Because I think Will Held and Timid
we have quite highly. I think Will Held was like an 8 or something.
Yeah, because I think Will Held and Timid are the exact same power level.
Wilhelt. Yeah, we have Wilhelt as an 8. And to be fair, I do think Wilhelt is not an 8, but I can be convinced on the 7. I'm still not sure that I like Timid as being better than Wilhelt. I think they're very, very comparable in terms of how good they are. It's just Wilhelt is like clean and efficient. And one of the things that always throws me off is adding another color to your deck is good, but it does reduce your consistency. And I do think that is very relevant when you're trying to play, like, zombies stuff. You do need a fair bit of consistency.
I do think that you get enough things from white where it's just worth losing your consistency, though. Like, specifically, point removal, Corpse Knight here, Renewed Solidarity, Verena's super, super solid still. God Eternal Oketra just consistently overperforms in Commander, and it makes zombies, so...
Okay, so the argument here is more that Wilhelt needs to be dragged down to a 6, right?
That is what I'm saying. Wilhelt is the exact same power level as Timid in my eyes. Maybe slightly better, but I don't think that it's a full point better.
Okay. I guess I can accept that. I'm still not sold on it, but I can put it at least. I guess relevantly as well, since I'm looking at this here, we do have Scarab God as a 7. But I also think that Scarab God is just like... Scarab God is a zombies commander. It is also just a straight reanimator commander.
Scarab God's reanimator commander. That is actually apples to oranges.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough then. And we got to reevaluate Scarab God. Let's go.
Go. Big brain, Jason.
So we did the Esper. We did that.
We got a whole 4 whopping commanders left.
5.
We have 5. Anyways, Here's our mascot. Here he is. Everybody loves it. Totally right. Right, guys? Right. Anyways, here, have good Japanese art.
Okay. Loot does stuff. Loot does value. It's like a 5. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
I haven't seen the broken stuff with this. I know you can food chain it, but
yeah, cool. Anyways, I can food chain like half the teamer commanders, and they're better.
oh yeah, I guess relevantly. Chat, if you know this right away, just let me know. When you put this, if you put loot under a Agatha's Soul Cauldron, because people are trying to do that in standard right now, you might have seen this, and I haven't. Does it still have the exhaust feature of only being able to activate it once? I assume yes. I assume that it matters. All right, see ya, Kelvin. I assume that it still has the exhaust feature, so it's still bound by exhaust. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Not that you would necessarily want to throw your loot into a Agatha's Soul Cauldron when it's your commander anyway, but you know, we talk about it.
5.
Yeah, I think it's a 5. I think it does some cool stuff. It jumps through some hoops, and it can do some really good value stuff. But it's also kind of just like,
This is the most uninspiring teamer commander in a color full of uninspired teamer commanders.
it is certainly just a pile-o teamer.
All right, I'm gonna talk about Saheeli first because I like Saheeli.
Sure.
Saheeli, Radiant Creator, 1 in teamer for a 4/4 human artificer. Whenever you cast an artificer or an artifact spell, you get an energy counter. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay triple energy. When you do, create a token that's a copy of a target permanent you control, except it's a 5/5 in addition to its other types, and has haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Alright. Copying, we have seen from Satya, copying anything is really strong.
Mm-hmm.
However, unlike Satya, I don't get to keep things.
Yep.
Therefore, is actually strictly worse. Yes, I get to copy any permanent. Not keeping things is extremely relevant.
It's definitely harder. Like, you can do your Sundial to make it so that you don't just lose it, but...
Sure, but then I have to put bad cards into my deck to make my thing not have a major downside.
Yeah, at least it's an artifact, right? But
yeah.
It's okay. I will say that Saheeli is just generally fine.
Yeah,
like
good.
Yeah, decent energy stuff. Doing some cool stuff. I like it. Probably 5-6 range.
I'd say like a 6.
Yeah, and for when we were asked earlier, is Jeskai versus Teamer better? I would say, generally speaking, Jeskai is still better because Satya is just that good.
And also, you're missing a lot of the new energy stuff that the Fallout deck added, MH3 added. You don't have any of that, really have any of that here. So...
Yeah, and the big green energy cards that we've gotten are Pima Trailblazer and Nissa World Soul Speaker, which are both, again, Pima Trailblazer is awesome. That card's great. Nissa, it's fine.
But I don't have Guide of Souls, and when you start realizing that Guide of Souls is kind of necessary for a lot of energy decks to function, you really start to miss white.
Yeah, and you're not really... Yeah, you're not gaining a ton with green. You gain some nice stuff, but yeah, it's just kind of fine.
Alright. PNLR.
So 5?
I said 6. 6 on Saheeli.
Yeah, 6 is fine. I'll accept it.
Alright. PNLR.
Okay, Thea. So, Thea, Chief Mechanic. Green, blue, red. 2/4. Legendary creature. Human Artificer. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get 2 energy. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, create an XX colorless vehicle artifact token named Nilar Aetherjet with flying and crew 2, where X is the amount of energy you paid. You just make a big vehicle.
Yeah.
It's got flying. That's neat. And it's easy to crew. Why did they make a strictly worse version of the Jeskai Commander? It's not strictly worse. It's just different, right?
It is just different. Like, in terms of raw card power level, Sai is better, not strictly worse, though.
Mhm.
Like, getting to copy anything and not having to attack is actually kind of relevant.
Yeah, it's kind of merging the territory between the good Grixis Mishra and what Satya is doing, which is interesting. It's just not great.
But I can't Gonti's Aether Heart combo everybody out, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess some credit where credit is due for this commander. This does just say at the beginning of your end step, pay 1 energy and make a artifact token, which just triggers artifacts energies.
Yep.
Neat.
Solid.
Yeah.
It's
not much, though.
It's not much. I mean, you get 6 energy almost guaranteed, right?
Yeah, you are like accruing energy quite easily.
And she does make an evasive body.
Yeah. I think I may be being disingenuous with how good this is, or rather misevaluating how good it is. Because a 6/6 body that you are getting every turn, let's say, you can have multiple of these. This is me going to get on my gripe about vehicles and why I don't particularly like them. They always feel very awkward as to, because they are not creatures all the time. It means they're never necessarily a creature when you want them to be, but they're also not a creature when your opponent might want them to be.
Yep.
But it's hard to tell that. So playing as the vehicle's player, you're not sure how effective your vehicle is, and the person who's playing against the vehicle is just, when they need to get rid of it, they're frustrated. So this is why I don't like vehicles very much. The play experience just doesn't feel great to me. But at the same time, if you're making a 6/6 body every turn that is hard for your opponent to remove, and all you need to do is generate 2 power to now have a 6/6 available, that's not bad.
Yeah, and you're in Teamer. You're gonna have 2 power to screw things.
Yeah, you're also told to, you're just doing artifact stuff.
Yeah,
like you're just casually doing artifact teamer stuff.
Yeah. So it's not bad. It's like probably a 5, 4 or 5, somewhere in that range.
It genuinely is probably a 5, even though it pains me. I really don't like vehicles. But I will acknowledge it is doing things well enough that it is probably good to put it here. Okay.
Alright, now we get to the two I don't want to say most interesting commanders, but two. We have Samut left, and we have Mimeoplasm left.
Okay, let's do Samut.
Because I skipped over Naya, but Samut's actually quite good.
Yeah, Samut's a weird one. All right, so Samut, the driving force. 3 red, green, white for a 4/5 legendary creature, human warrior cleric with first strike, vigilance, haste. Start your engines. Other creatures you control get +X+0, where X is your speed. Non-creature spells you cast cost X less to cast, where X is your speed. Okay. There's a lot of moving parts for determining when this card is good. It definitely requires setup.
Yep.
But also, the payoff is also either absurd or just, fine. And
I don't know. Slight Anthem plus spell discount at all levels is still pretty good.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? It is, and Sam built this. I think Sam has identified one of the best areas of how to improve this deck and make it good. Ooh, that's nice art. I don't know if I've actually seen that one. The merging between paying X spells that make tokens and the whole speed stuff right? Because the tokens give you the ability to go wide to increase your speed.
Yep.
The X spells benefit from the cost reduction, so you can get a larger effect out of it later into the game. And they benefit from the Anthem effect the most, right? Like, Song of Totentans is just like a goated card with this deck.
And eventually, so long as you're fine with X being 4, all of your X spells are just 1 mana. 1 mana, X is 4. Have fun.
Yep. Now, in the meantime to get there, and this is the thing that's awkward to me. I'm starting... Yeah, you gotta build your speed... Building speed once per turn. Yes. Mm-hmm. You start at 1, and then if your opponent loses life on your turn, once per turn, once during each of your turns, you can gain your speed. So you can go to 2 speed the turn it comes down, which is the really important part.
This is the one thing that I will say that I'm really upset at WotC about. Mm-hmm. Why is there not more cards like Samet in the set that interact with speed, even if you don't have max speed?
Yeah, there's only 2.
There's 2, Samet and something else.
The Speed Demon.
Like, why? Why is there only 2?
Yeah, I think it's just experimenting with it and trying it out for power balance for limited or something like that. Like, they could have done something that was like, for example, experimenting with it for, say, like a creature that has -X, where X is your... or it starts with 0 power and it gets +X, where X is your speed or something like that. Mm-hmm. You know, so it comes in as a 1/4 or something like that, and it becomes a 4/4 for like 2 mana or something. You know, there's stuff that you could do there to experiment with it, but they didn't push the envelope on this one.
This solves a lot of my issues with speed, which is it still does something even if you don't have max speed.
Yeah. Most of the cards not doing anything unless you have max speed is frustrating. But going back into what we're accomplishing here, right? The bridging the gap between low speed to doing the things with Samet is awkward to me. You want to play cards that give you, start your engine early. You want to be hitting your opponents early so that you can do that. But you also want to be ramping really hard into your 6-mana commander and then paying more ramp into things to make your X spells even larger. So, if this is a start your engine deck that doesn't start until Samet's actually in play, that feels really weird.
Yeah.
Excuse me? So, and that's the part that I find clunky about this, is when do I actually start playing the game?
You start playing the game on average, assuming you have 15 speed cards in your deck. You start playing the game on average about turn 5.
Okay, so I'm able to... And I don't even need max speed, but I'm able to get to like 2 to 3 speed.
Yeah.
And have Samet down around turn 5.
Yes.
Okay.
If my math is correct there, that should be right about average on that.
You wish it was like ring tempting instead of opponent losing life? I kind of do, and I kind of don't like that as well. Like, there's different merits to it, right? Because like it makes it so that your each of your starter engine cards get better just for existing, but also it means that you can't gate the growth to make it so that you have to slow it down a little bit.
Also, what is it with us and Avishkar? Is that the new name?
Yeah, Avishkar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is it with this plane and parasitic mechanics that only work with stuff from its plane? Like, energy only works with energy. Start your engines only works with start your engines. Vehicles only work with vehicles. Let's be real here.
Okay, yeah, fair. Yeah, Avishkar does have a lot of parasitic or close to parasitic mechanics. God. Man, so...
That's just weird.
How many of those X spells give your creatures haste is also relevant.
Song of Totentaz.
Fourth Aerolingus.
I mean,
and we can't just play enchantments that give us haste. Like, that's not the worst thing either.
Yeah, we play like Mass Hysteria, right? It's good enough. Also, anything that gives double strike to everything is also just good enough.
Yeah,
and
like storm stuff as well. It's crazy.
It kind of makes sense. It is a 4.
It does. it does make sense. It's just weird. Yeah, Secure the Waste. Being able to just deploy at instant speed is also an important element to the
Grand
deck.
Crescendo. Instant speed protection plus make dudes. It's pretty good.
I'm really curious, what percentage of these decks are actually going deep on these storm cards? Because the storm element here, it's like, it exists, but that's like... Naya Storm's a weird one.
I think it's
a really weird one.
I think it's mainly just the elemental eruption. Just it makes sense in the deck more than anything.
Yeah, and I think Sandblade Reiterate, right?
Yeah.
For Reiterate Mana Geyser combo stuff that you can do, or Reiterate like Jessica's Will, whatever. There are some Spellslinger options here when you get to...
Once you get there.
Yeah, you need like 2 to 3 cost reduction to get there, depending on what you're working with.
Which is right about average.
Okay. There's so many permutations of where games with this deck can go.
That's why I said before we started the stream, speed is the hardest mechanic to evaluate in Commander. Because it is way too dependent on every variable you cannot control.
That's fair. Okay. So... I definitely think we hit at least a 5.
Easily.
Okay. What's our upper end?
Our upper end is a 7. And our lower end is a 5.
Okay.
Now is it high enough on the 5 to get to a 6?
It really totes that line.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so comparing to the other speed card that's in this tier with it, Speed Demon, right? Like, both of them are variable speed items. Speed Demon can just sit and play and accrue value. Samet's dependent on what cards you have in hand and in what way you're able to use them, much more than Speed Demon is.
So at the worst, it's like a +2/+0 anthem to everything with good keywords and a decent body.
Yeah. I also think Speed Demon is also, like, despite having fewer Start Your Engine cards, I think Speed Demon is just able to consistently get itself to 3 to 4 speed by the time Speed Demon comes down.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So you're once again getting the higher end of its effects. Whereas Samet is not necessarily guaranteed to get there, but once you do get there, it could just be much better.
It probably
could also just be much worse.
It probably is much better on average. Because it's less of a lightning rod compared to the Speed Demon.
Yeah, and like, I'm not going to discount the fact that this is also just like a 4/5 First Strike Vigilance Haste card. Like, if you're not jump blocking this is going to get speed very quick. So, yeah.
6 is the really awkward command cost too.
Yeah, it's man, this is such a weird one. This is a lot of ways to build the deck too.
A lot of ways that make sense. That's the worst part about it. So we can't just strictly say, well, this is the best way. Because it may not be.
Because, like, we didn't even explore this, but, like, you could kind of just treat that as saying, hey, all of your artifacts have affinity for artifacts.
Yep.
Right? Like, there's really weird stuff you can do here. And, you know, the whole red pinger stuff makes sense to play alongside Samet, just to, if you can get the speed early. We see this storm build, we saw the token stuff.
Like I said,
Samet has way too many builds, actually, now that I think about it. There's just so many permutations of what you can do here. Jesus. I think it's okay. I am 100% safe giving it a 5.
1000% floor is a 5.
I think I will do a split rating.
Mm-hmm.
Floor is 5. Upper end, I could go as high as an 8, but I'm going to give it a 7 as its optimized build. Because I don't know which of those builds is good and actually worth it, but maybe they just are that good.
Who knows?
It's so hard to say.
It is actually hard to say.
It's really weird. But anyway, all right, next one.
Anyways, last card. Mimeoplasm.
Oh my god, you chose this art.
Mimeoplasm Revered 1 X Sultai for a 0/0 ooze. As Mimeoplasm, not the Mimeoplasm, enters, exile up to X creature cards from your graveyard. It enters with 3 1/1 counters on it for each creature card exiled this way. And then it has paid 2 generic. It becomes a copy of target creature that it exiled. That is base 0/0 and has this ability.
Mm-hmm.
So we are playing Sultai Reanimator that is both not fragile and very fragile at the same time.
Yes. Because once you exile to the Mimeoplasm, it is stuck to that specific Mimeoplasm. So if you replay your Mimeoplasm for any reason, whatever you copied is gone forever. That gold is terrible with that art. No! I hate that!
I'm going back to this.
Okay. We can have our happy little dino. Well, happy... It's dead. It's just dead.
Yeah, it's just dead.
It's very interesting what you can do with this. Because what it can turn into a lot of weird things. Okay.
Right. Oh.
Ew, that's okay. Yeah, I mean it's just become a blighted agent. Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, Jason, I'm sold.
Yeah,
I've seen enough fun that's really easy to put in the graveyard.
Yeah. We gotta do some self-mill to get there, but...
Anyways, we just gotta reprint.
Yeah, we just play the Hammer Druid. Curious now. Yeah, I mean, the dredge cards themselves are not things you're trying to copy, but you can do that. Yeah, hi, Skittles.
More Lord of the Vnwxt, really good.
Proliferate stuff is also a way to help with this. It is definitely still in that classic Sultai pile o stuff category.
It's a little bit more focused than the normal Sultai pile of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We want to play big dumb thing in graveyard, exile to Mimeoplasm.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God it doesn't say X or less, it's X cards.
Yeah.
So it could just be 1 and you make your Mimeoplasm into a Valgaboth. I like having a 3/3 Valgaboth.
Now, it did cost you effectively 6 mana to get to that point, plus whatever stuff. The mana inefficiency is a little annoying. But again, Sultai pile o stuff.
Anyways, mana efficiency is the name of the game.
Yeah. Right? Like, it's not the worst thing. Like, what is its name? Zexara, right? Like, Zexara is a card that you could just play because you want it in the deck, but then you could also be copying it and it be like, yes, I would love to tap for 9 mana.
Seems good.
Zexara is even in the builds that people are doing.
Nope. Oh. Ulamog the Defiler.
Oh, yeah, Ulamog's
that's
gross.
That's so funny. I love it.
Ulamog is just disgusting in this.
It probably has Annihilator 12. That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Get to play a good old Stick Fingers. I love old Stick Fingers.
Bargoyf is super good in the stack.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
There's lots of just good stuff to turn into. It works fine. It does its thing. I mean, it's pretty easy on a power level basis. It's a pretty easy 5 to say for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it hits a 6.
I don't know that it does. It could. I could see it.
It does cool stuff.
I could easily see getting completely rolled by this deck one game and then immediately it does nothing the next game.
Yeah. It's also one of those decks that's like... It's one of the slow decks that's reliant on mana dorks.
Yep.
Because stable mana is great and all, but also, like, you want things to turn into just to get big. And have more permanence in your graveyard.
Yo, we're always drawing a card off of Palantir. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, so... I think 5 is still a fair assessment.
Yeah, 5's probably good enough here. I'm just looking through, seeing if there's any spice. Other than the fun here in the new card section.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun there with the big dumb things you can do with that. I'm trying to think if there's, like, again, I mentioned Zahur. I don't think there's, like, easy combo stuff to do here. I think it's just shenanigans.
There is easy combo stuff to do.
By all means.
You have it become a copy of the elf that taps for green equal to its power.
Okay.
Then you turn it into something that can untap itself.
Okay, so
and
you
then
need
you have
6 mana, or no, you would need 2 to transform, 2 to transform.
There's 4.
Horseshoe Crab is 1 mana to untap. So you need to be tapping for 6 mana, which conveniently is what you get for if you just put 2 creatures under it.
Yep.
So if you do Horseshoe Crab and... There's a couple of cards you can use that tap equal to your power, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like 2 or 3 of them. Or at least taps like number of counters on them. Or it's not Fathom Mage. What's the other one?
Or you can have Selvala exiled underneath it. You have to pay an extra mana, but...
Well, that's neutral then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you do pay 1 extra mana, then you would get to mana positive. Okay, so there's ways to generate infinite mana. Commander doesn't have haste innately. Does not immediately have an infinite outlet, unless you put Walking Ballista under it, which is an easy enough thing to do as well.
And there's nothing wrong with once you make the infinite mana, just resetting it.
Mm-hmm. So... Anything that would allow you to remove counter... Yeah, Phyrexian Devourer plus Walking Ballista is something you can just do with this as well.
Yep.
Okay, so there's a decent number of like 2 to 3 card combos that you can put in here, just Buried Alive and call it a day, right? I don't believe people are actually doing that right now.
They might be. Let's look at top cards. Entomb? No.
Oh, Entomb's commonplace, right? I see a lot of like the Infect stuff. I do see that Selvala in there as well.
Oh, here's the Buried Alive.
Oh yeah, well that's just going to be there regardless, right?
Yeah.
I see a lot of the Pylo stuff value. I still don't see the like combo engine pieces.
I think it can.
Yeah.
Here you go. There's the crab and 20% of decks.
Yeah, but 20% is still not that many. Glitter Baron is also a decent one.
Glitter Baron's actually the one you want because it's easy to make infinite green.
Mm-hmm.
Not infinite blue.
Okay. Cryptic Alibi. Yes, that's also a weird one. There's the Ballista. That's 14% of decks. So it's still a very low percentage overall that are clearly going for a combo route. Gyre Sage, that was the name of it.
Yeah.
And then there's Heronblade Elite. Yeah, just taps for X, where X is its power.
So, like,
I'll,
I think this might be one of those people haven't discovered the lines yet, more than anything, because the set is too new.
Yeah. If you put the work in for this, it's there.
Sultai Scion, yeah. No, actually.
Sultai Scion of the Earth Dragon? Yeah, it's pretty similar. And this is doing stuff similar to what original Mimeoplasm was doing as well, where, like, original Mimeoplasm was often just setting up these big combos anyway. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we have OG. We had OG at.
We had OG at 6-7.
It feels about the same power level, if not.
I think this one's better.
Yeah.
I think OG Mimeoplasm is probably actually a 5, but it maybe is a 6.
This one I think is like strictly a point better though, wherever it ends up at.
Then I think it deserves to be a 6 as its rating for a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
But I would actually again do a split rating, where thinking about the combo lines that you can do with this thing, actually now like really thinking about it.
Oh, it can look like this.
Oh, it can look like an 8. I think it can hit an 8. It maybe even could hit a 9 with the level of consistency when you're talking about, your green force of will.
I'm thinking about this in like a CDH context.
Mm-hmm.
It can hit a 9 very easily.
Yeah.
It's not actually that hard to assemble these combos given like good mana plus good tutors.
Yeah, exactly. I also wonder if there's some... There probably is not an actual combo with it, but like Psychic Frog in the deck, for example, gives you some interesting options, as that's a really good bridge piece, as something you wouldn't mind turning into. Gives flying, so you can just start one-shotting people, and you can also start scaling up Mimeoplasm's power by discarding more cards. So even if it just became a Psychic Frog, starting with 3/3 power, that's pretty good, actually.
Seductive Spine, most people aren't thinking about it in the context of this is innately a combo engine. They're just thinking it becomes a copy of something that is bigger. You don't have to pay the extra mana investment into the old Mimeoplasm. It is like, it will always be a 5 mana, like 9/11 insert Eldrazi that doesn't shuffle itself back in.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this one has significantly higher upside than the original one. But when a lot of people are evaluating cards, they don't look at the potential upside.
Yeah, I mean... Huh. Yeah, Okay. Yeah, I think 6/8 for now is a good spot to put it. This is one I'll need to revisit.
I like the fact that this one can be its own combo engine over the original, because the original has to have a setup combo engine. This one can just be its own combo engine.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's another thing. We might be overthinking it. Who knows?
Absolutely. I could very much see like the very simple thought of, haha, you didn't consider it doesn't have haste, and that's it. Like
yeah.
There's nothing else to say. I am very much looking forward to playing against this one then, as I might need to brew it myself to see exactly where it goes, because yeah, you can just do the big dumb creatures build, and you just play the Timmiest of Timmy things. But you can also build this very spiky combo deck.
Like I said, I can see worlds where this is on the same level as Tasigur in terms of power. I can see it, Mm-hmm. But I cannot, until I've played against it probably like 10 or 20 times. It's going to be hard to give it an actual true rating.
I mean, I'd say playing it 10 or 20 times will still give you a hard time rating it because of all the small adjustments you can make.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think this commander had nearly as much depth as it does. Literally just the statement of, I don't think there's combos here, has now taken us down the line of, oh wait.
Oh wait, there is a significant amount of combos here.
There's a lot more to do here. Alright, this is another one for my list. I gotta take a look at it.
This is probably going to end up being another Orvar, where you have to interact with it at some point. Lord, who knows when you're interacting with it? Even the Mimeo player probably doesn't know when you're interacting with it, but...
Yeah. But yeah. Alright, well, I'm good.
Alright.
I'm comfortable putting it in the 6-8 for the time being. Let's get one more look at the...
Oh yeah, let me do that before I go to true ending here. Whoops.
Yeah. Let's get one last look at the thing, see how we're feeling. Alright. We got a 9, we got an 8, good number of 7s, a lot of 6s. A lot of 6s, and I'm very happy when I see a lot of 6s.
Friendly reminder to everybody who hates on Aetherdrift, it is actually incredibly filled with playable set.
Mm-hmm.
The aesthetic sucks, but goddamn, is there enough playables in this set to make up for it?
Yeah, honestly, this is just feeling like a solid commander set, at least in terms of picking commanders.
Even 99 cards, there's quite a few of them in here.
There's a few, definitely. I like the Gear Hulks. We didn't even talk about them at all.
Dude, Selesnya Gear Hulk goes in every Selesnya deck? It's kind of goated.
Yeah, it is a really nice one. Do we have merch? We do have merch. It's just like a small store that's listed on the bottom banner of the videos. I cannot even remember where it's from. Is it called Spring Tea? I think it's something like that.
It's Teespring. We have Teespring.
Teespring? That's what it's called. Okay.
Teespring stuff.
I've completely forgotten what it was called. It has just been there in the back of my mind for eternity. But continue on this really quick. The 5s are solid, even if there's generic teamer.
Mm-hmm.
Still iffy on the 4s. 4s are fine though.
The 4s are some of those that can go down to 3s. They can also go up to 5s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's even when we go down here, looking at these 3s, these 2s and 1s, it's I can see ways that you would get these to go up or down a level. Some of them more down than up. Other ones definitely we can improve upon this potentially.
A lot of them go down.
Mm-hmm. But also, I could see a situation where Sita is better than a 3. Not very often, but I could see it. I can see a situation where Golden needs to be a 4. That's its right rating. Maybe that's the case. And
I can see the toolbox commander actually being a proper toolbox commander eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I can see a situation where Gonti is actually a 0. But I'm saving it. Seductive Swine. Don't worry.
There's probably something that can redeem Gonti. I don't know what it is, but I really don't want to look for it.
Don't worry, Seductive Swine. I got you. It's not a 0.
But yeah, with that, we are good. All right. So, thank you all once again for coming out and watching this stuff with us, because, dear Lord, we've been talking for 3 hours, and my throat is certainly feeling it.
Yep.
I had a great time evaluating Aetherdrift. This is a set that I came in very low on, but actually evaluating the commanders, I do feel much more comfortable with the set. So I appreciate that, at least. So, if y'all want to hang out with us, you want to play games with us, we have game night every Saturday. It's on our Discord. Discord is available to everyone. It is down in the description. If you want to just join, hang out with us, and play, we talk about decks, we do stuff on it. You can get just advice, words from us. I don't know. Want me to read scripture to you? I can do something like that.
Please don't ask for that. We try to keep,
it's okay.
supercharged subjects like that out.
It's okay. I'm only going to make you read the Tao Te Ching. It's fine. But Beyond that, we also have our Patreon if you'd like to support us financially. We really appreciate it. We have our merch, as somebody has maybe mentioned before, as I keep forgetting that we have that, but we do in fact have that. If you would like to get some t-shirts or stickers, we have that available. And lastly, I don't think we mentioned it, but we are sponsored by Dragon Shield, and we really appreciate them. We do have a link to their stuff where we get a kickback if you use that link, and genuinely, we appreciate it. We love Dragon Shield, and if you like their stuff and want to support us as well, you can buy from them, and we get a nice little percentage. You get use the code SMOOTH5 for 5% off of your order. It's great.
Yep.
All right, and with that, my brain is sufficiently scrambled from trying to figure out the mimeoplasm. Y'all have a great night.
Good night, guys.